It was undeniably the most shocking upset of the 1996 season. Jacksonville at Denver. The quarterback in today's wildcard game is John Elway. In last year's playoff game, he and the Broncos jumped on the Jaguars early. The 12-0 lead, no surprise. But then today's other wildcard quarterback, Mark Brunell, began to strut his stuff.
Turns, lofts it downfield, looking for Keenan in the end zone. Keenan leaps, makes the catch. Down Jaguars. He's at the 40. Mark Brunell running to the far sideline, turns the corner, 35-30. Down to the 25. An inside move, leaping for the 21.
That run kept alive a key fourth quarter possession for Jacksonville. And then,
big play, 35 to the 16. Looking for Jimmy in the end zone. Touchdown Jaguars. That's it. The Jaguars are going to the championship game of the American Football Conference.
The images of that game remain vivid for both teams in today's wildcard rematch. A cornerstone victory for the Jags, a searing defeat for the Broncos. John Elway and all of Denver have waited nearly a year for this game. Seal them up. It's the Jaguars and the Broncos in this AFC wildcard playoff.
Let's go, Jaguars! Let's go!
Here we go.
We got the noise. Bring on the game.
Well, it's playoff time and it's do or die. One team lives, the other says bye. The winner gets glory, fame, and chills. The loser can only wait till next year. You better be ready. You better get right. It's time to kick off this wild card fight. Hit it. Come on and hit it. Come on and get ready. Are you ready for some football? A postseason party. We got Frank and Al and Dan. They're gonna get it started. Get those helmets crashing. The crowd is psyched. It's the NFL playoffs coming on. That's right.
Bring on the game.
Now.
Denver, Colorado on a late December day. Weather just right for football. Temperature about 44 degrees. Wind gusting to about 30 miles per hour. It could get stronger a little later in the day. And Mile High Stadium, a great setting for any football game and a dramatic setting for this rematch between Jacksonville and Denver. Hello again, everyone. Frank Gibbert, Al Michaels, and Dan Deerdorf. It will be noisy here. You heard a while ago as we talked about it throughout the course of the day. Jacksonville came in 9-7 a year ago. They stunned the Denver Broncos, who had their best franchise record of 13-3. They went on to lose in the AFC Championship. Denver was out of the playoffs. They waited for almost a year to get back at Jacksonville. They made some changes during the offseason. They're probably a better football team. They're 12-4 coming into this one. And this is a team, however, that struggled over the past few weeks. Meanwhile, Jacksonville, 11-5 out, and I think they are probably better on both sides of football, offensively and defensively, than they were a year ago.
I agree with you, Frank, and this is a team that has won 16 of its last 21 regular season games. And when they beat Denver last year, Coach Tom Coughlin found the dead right recipe, and that was balance offensively. And look for the same thing to happen today. Natron Means on the ground. He gained 140 yards that day, but he's been bothered with a sprained ankle this season. He's healthy again. They'll need him to pound through the middle. Offensively also, Mark Brunell, the quarterback. They're going to ask him to be more aggressive. He's got a great arm, but they didn't want him to run earlier this season because of the knee injury that cost him 6 weeks. But they will ask him to be more aggressive today. The big difference, though, may be defensively. They just have to step it up a bit because the Jaguars were 23rd on that side of the ball in the NFL. So that's the recipe for a Jacksonville win today against the Denver Broncos. And you've got the 3 R's: respect, redemption, and revenge, all in play today.
There aren't many words that haven't been used, Al, because what happened here 51 weeks ago, the local folks call it the darkest day in the storied history of this Broncos franchise. It wounded not just the football team, but this entire community. That's how stunned they were that Jacksonville came in and upset the 14-point favorite Broncos. But you know something? You better be careful for what you wish for, because you just might get it. And that's what's happened to the Broncos, because Jacksonville is a much better football team and a much better football team that comes in here with confidence, knowing that they can win here. It has been the Denver players for the last year that have been doing all of the talking, and I think that what comes with that talk is pressure. I think a great deal of pressure is on the Denver Broncos today, and they have talked the talk, and what we're going to find out today is whether or not they're capable of walking the walk. Now, the most watched man in the stadium today is going to be running back Terrell Davis. He separated his right shoulder in their loss to the 49ers 12 days ago. He did not play in their season-ending game. He's going to wear a harness today, and how effective he is will go a long way towards how effective and what chances the Broncos have of beating the Jaguars here this afternoon. So we've got the AFC Wildcard game, the 12-4 Broncos, the 11-5 Jaguars, attitude and altitude. We've got it all here for you today.
We're doing a little paint.
At Penza, we'll be waiting.
Up against the wind, it should be both a highly emotional and physical football game. Welcome to the sideline. I'm Lynn Swan, head coach Mike Shanahan of the Broncos. No words have been wasted talking about the emotional factor of this ball game, the motivation and revenge. How do you take that challenge, use it in a game plan so they can just get that energy onto the field?
Well, then they got the job done last year. We didn't. They made some plays, and we had an opportunity. We didn't take advantage of that opportunity. The same opportunities here today, and you work a whole year through the offseason, the mini camps, and now we'll see if we'll take advantage of it.
And they're ready for this.
They're ready for it.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Al?
Thank you, Len. That's a beautiful shot as you look at Mile High Stadium and downtown Denver in the background. Temperature in the 40s, a gusting wind basically as you'll look at the field with Vaughn Hebron going back to receive the kick, and a guy who missed a lot of action during practice this week because of a hamstring pull. Mike Hollis to kick off. Basically, as we look at the field, the wind will be blowing from left to right, from north to south, but like in most enclosed stadiums, it is a swirling wind. And Hollis's kick fielded by Hebron at the 5-yard line. Up past the 20, and Terrell Davis is back up at running back, brings it back to the 27-yard line. And here comes John Elway, wrapping up his 15th season. And this season, those 27 touchdowns, the most in any season in his career. Quarterback rating 87.5. Davis in the backfield. Griffith is the blocking back. Smith and McCaffrey outside. Shannon Sharp, the tight end. And up front, Zimmerman. Charette comes back from disc surgery. Nalen, Habib, and Jones. Nalen is the backup center for the AFC in the Pro Bowl. And Davis gets immediate action, takes it up to the 30-yard line. That separated shoulder is his right shoulder. Here's the Jacksonville defense and two rookies along the front. Lageman, Wynn, and Payne are both rookies at tackles, and the veteran Simmons. Hardy, Schwartz, and Robinson, the linebackers. Schwartz, the team's leading tackler. Thomas and Figures at the corners. Davis and Hudson are the safeties. And the wind gusting and blowing the ball away from the line of scrimmage.
Pretty good indication of how severely the wind is blowing when it rolls a football that's on the ground. There were times we were down there before warm-ups. Actually, we were moved by the gust.
Play fake. Davis makes the catch, gets hit on that right shoulder, is a little short of the first down at the 36 by Hardy and Schwartz. So they go to Davis on the ground and then through the air immediately.
I think the key will come not being hit on the shoulder, but when he lands on this field, on his elbow, driving that arm up into the shoulder. That's when you get an impact on a separated shoulder. And there's the wind we spoke about at the top of the show. That we're alerts up in the mountains and the foothills of winds gusting to 70 miles an hour. So it could get worse.
Third down and 1. You can see the papers blowing. Davis with the first down. So Terrell Davis out last week with a separated shoulder behind a Griffith block, 2 carries and a pass reception and a first down.
Terrell Davis actually wanted to play last week against San Diego, and I think they very wisely, any kind of a separation, it takes a while to put it back together again. I had one, Dan, I'm sure you probably have. It's one of the most painful things that you can play with, live with, and God help you if you sneeze.
And it'll also affect Terrell Davis's ability to receive. He's a good receiver out of the backfield. We'll see if he can get his arms up. Well,
Elway's second pass, Rod Smith, the intended receiver, and the ball floating and wobbling, Figures covering, second down. Lynn Swan, update from the field. Lynn?
Well, Al, you're talking about the brace that Terrell Davis is wearing. It's not so much a brace as it is just padding. And here's an example of it. There's padding on the inside to protect him from the force of any hit he will get. Really can't keep the shoulder in place, but just will protect it from any hit. Al?
All right, thank you, Lynn. So on 2nd down and 10, Davis in the backfield along with Griffith. Esther Atuaolo is now at defensive tackle in place of Seth Payne, and that's Tuaolo who comes across the line. Bernie Kukar is today's referee. Payne, a rookie from Cornell, he'd been questionable.
Number 84 on the offense. Moving prior to the ball being snapped. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Janet Chalk drew him off.
In the middle of that Jaguar line defensively has changed dramatically from a year ago. John Jurkovic is gone for the season. He broke a tibia. And Pritchett, as we look at the jump by Sharp, you see it from the reverse ankle. Watch number 84. He makes the movement and draws Jacksonville across the line of scrimmage. But they also lost Don Davey in the middle of that defensive line. So a big change defensively for Jacksonville this year.
Second and 15, you can hear the wind out of the shotgun. Elway guns it over the middle, and it's dropped by McCaffrey.
Ooh, looking right back into the sun, the late afternoon sun. You can tell by the shadows, McCaffrey was looking right back into the sun, and he couldn't handle it.
He's got the sun, he's got the wind, and Elway throws the ball about 170 miles an hour.
See McCaffrey's shadow, he's looking right back into it, and like a lot of great quarterbacks, they are pumped up in the first quarter, and often that first quarter delivery is a little hot.
A hot Elway pass, a good field underneath you, a little earth, wind, and fire here for you this afternoon from Denver.
Yes. Right off the bat on 3rd down and 15. They have to get to the Jacksonville 46 to convert, and Elway guns it to the open man. McCaffrey makes the catch, 1st down, takes it to the 36.
A lot of time for John Elway. That was a deep turn in, and the Bronco receivers have been dropping a lot of footballs over the last few weeks, and when McCaffrey caught that football, he looked it right into his hands, into his chest. He knew he had the 1st down, and again, credit the offensive line. They gave Elway all the time he needed, but watch McCaffrey look it in, hug the football. He knows he's going to get hit, and he comes down with the ball for a 1st down.
And I think John Elway in this wind is aided by the fact that he does not throw anything that resembles a floating football. He throws a laser pass, and he'll have more success in this kind of a wind than some other quarterbacks might.
Davis gets taken down by Schwartz after a gain of 1 to the 35. That pass to McCaffrey was good for 25. 3 minutes into the game with no score. Davis with 20 or more carries in every game this season until the Monday nighter in San Francisco when he went out in the 1st half.
Still ended up with 1,750 yards, 15 touchdowns, nearly a 5-yard per carry average at 4.7. Sitting out that game, he really didn't have a realistic shot at Barry Sanders for the NFL rushing title, but yet what a remarkable year for Terrell Davis.
2nd and 9. This is the 8th play of the drive, and Davis escapes, breaks another tackle, and gets ridden down at the 26, close to a 1st down by Travis Davis, breaking 2 tackles out of Chris Hudson's grasp in one of them.
And we've seen him a lot this year, and I'll say it over again. He runs like a much bigger man than a 210-pound back.
Well, he's also got legs that got a week off. It was almost like a bye week for Terrell Davis, even though these two teams didn't get a bye. This breaking tackles, the driving legs. He's not a guy that's going to take it like Barry Sanders and change directions 4 times and go 80 yards. But you will be hurting by the end of the day if you've had to tackle Terrell Davis 30 times.
3rd down and a short 1. And they give it to Davis, and he gets that 1 as he takes it to the 25-yard line. Thomas comes up to make the top tackle, and Denver is now 3 of 3 on 3rd down.
And he is a power runner, Dan and Al, but you saw the nifty footwork there at the line of scrimmage. He knew he needed the 1 yard, so he kind of skipped to the left, lowered his shoulder, and picked up the 1st down, and he's going to get a breather on the sidelines.
Broncos are aided by an addition up front. Mark Schlereth is starting at left guard. He's missed the last 5 games because of back surgery, and his addition to this offensive line means an awful lot to Denver.
From the 25-yard line, They give it to Derek Lavelle, who's the number 3 running back. He picks up 3. Occasionally, you're going to see camera shots today, and the camera will be all over the place and wobbling. The stands shake here when it's not windy, and now you've got the wind and the stands as you look down into Mile High Stadium. Gusting out of the north-northwest.
And with the exception of the wind, the temperature coupled with the sunshine, it is very comfortable down on the football field. A little cool in the shade, but the players don't mind this at all.
Very safe where you are to throw it now for the Broncos. They're in the protected end of the stadium. Here comes the blitz.
Elway scrambling and then throwing and along the sideline at the 13. No. Rod Smith, one official checked with the other. And the call appeared to be the correct one as he did not come down in bounds. Deion Figures with the coverage.
You like to see that. The one official goes, you can see that his eyes, as soon as the play is over, lock right onto his partner. The two of them work that sideline as a team. And you're exactly right. Neither one of Rod Smith's feet were in bounds. But that is the way an officiating crew is supposed to work. They are a team working that sideline. They both agreed they were both right.
3rd down 7 from the 22. So again, Denver with a 3rd down. They've converted 3 of 3 thus far. Blitz again. Elway throws. Caught at the 12. They convert again. And it's Willie Green making his first catch of the game. Dave Thomas with the coverage.
Free agent, one of those free agents we talked about that Denver picked up at the very beginning of the show. He was one of them. Willie Davis has been with Detroit and Carolina last year, and he's had some success in playoff games previously with Detroit and Carolina, this time putting a good move on Dave Thomas. Dave Thomas, good defensive back, but you can beat him with the quick cuts. He's a big defensive back, and he doesn't pull it together as quickly as some of the smaller ones.
Terrell Davis back in the game. 1st and 10 from the 12 with McCaffrey in motion. And back to Davis. Inside the 10. Davis to the 5. Davis appears to be 100%. Tom Nalen, who'll go to the Pro Bowl as the backup center, led the way.
Boy, he is banging people with that shoulder, and he doesn't seem to be having a problem at all protecting it.
And his offensive line is banging Jacksonville's defensive line. Look at the block there by Nalen, 66, Habib, 75. They are just removing the front 7 for Jacksonville. The guys in the secondary are having to come up and make the hit on Davis. If that becomes a pattern, that's big trouble.
2nd down and 3. Davis again. Davis fighting his way to the 2-yard line. That's close to a 1st down. Dave Thomas and Travis Davis in on the hit. 7 minutes into the game, and Jacksonville hasn't seen the ball yet, and they're going to measure.
Frank, don't you love that decision-making process by Davis? Rather than bounce it to the outside, lower the shoulder and head for the goal line.
Well, if you have his kind of power, that's what you do down close to either a 1st down or a goal line. But this is a terrific drive, and it would not have been this kind of drive, I'm sure, without Terrell Davis.
A 1st down.
He was the question mark earlier, whether or not he could go.
Well, I'm sure Tom Coughlin all week long said, hey, I'm sure Terrell Davis is going to be fine. I wonder if his guys believed it. Right there's the decision. Instead of bouncing to the outside, go for the surge. He picks up another 2 and the 1st down. But if there was any question in the guys in the white shirts whether or not Terrell Davis is all right, I think that's been put to rest.
15th play of the drive. They give it to Davis, so he starts it and finishes it.
Wow, that was classic. What a great drive.
And the Mile High salute to finish it off. Half the quarter.
The skeptics in the crowd, though, Al, are nudging the guy next to him and saying, you know, we had a 12-0 lead last year in this game.
And they were leading Pittsburgh, and they were leading Kansas City, and they were leading San Francisco.
But this
they lost.
Is a wonderful finish to an absolutely perfect start to a football game for the Denver Broncos.
Jason Elam for the point after the Bronx go 73 yards in 15 plays.
That's one of those deals where you work off the script. I'd hit the reset button.
That's right.
I'd go right back and start over.
They will. 15 plays, 7-0.
Brought to you by Saturn, a different kind of company, a different kind of car. Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. Visa, the official card of the NFL. It's everywhere you want to be. And Brewery Fresh Budweiser, who reminds you fresh beer tastes better.
The Denver Broncos driving from the 26-yard line all the way down the field. A 15-play drive. Last week they had a touchdown drive that consumed 18 plays against San Diego. And finally Jacksonville to get the ball. Reggie Barlow and Mike Logan are back. And Mark Brunell has been waiting patiently as Jason Elam gets set to kick off. Reggie Barlow is the key man, developing into one of the best run-back specialists in the league. And we'll see him immediately from the 8-yard line. Comes back this way and brings it back out to the 30-yard line. So Brunell and the Jaguars have it. 7:29 left in the quarter. 7-0 Broncos.
It isn't every.
Mark Brunell, 5th year in the league out of the University of Washington. Began the season hurt, came back for game 3 and a 91.2 rating, tops in the AFC. Means and Halleck in the backfield. Smith and McCardell, great wideouts. Pete Mitchell, the tight end. And up front, huge Tony Baselli, Ben Coleman, Dave Wydell, Rich Tilsky, and Leon Searcy, the ex-Steeler. Biggest offensive line, or heaviest, in the history of the National Football League.
Well, they need it in the division they play, in that Central Division. They see a lot of blitzing against the Steelers, Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Tennessee. But they are enormous.
And they're not just big for the sake of being big. They're athletic as well. Of course, with Searcy and Baselli, probably the best tackle combo in the NFL. And they're young.
From the 30-yard line. And right off the bat, you've got Damon Jones in as they start in a double tight end set, the rookie tight end moving.
Well, the noise here is going to be a tremendous factor.
Ball start. Number 88 on the offense. Moving prior to ball being snapped. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
So each one of these football teams opens up with their tight end false starting at the beginning of their day. Shannon Sharp did it for the Broncos, and here's Jones.
I think this was the noise, though. They'll go with a silent count, but you saw Damon Jones looking down to see if the ball was going to be snapped. And he came off and got the flag.
Well, they're going to be flinching all day on the Denver side of the ball, trying to draw them. There they go again.
First down and 15, and Brunell under pressure, forced to throw it away. Tanuvasa put the pressure on, the defensive tackle, who had 8.5 sacks this year. The Broncos at 4-3, and up front, Neil Smith came over from Kansas City, Keith Traylor, Tanuvasa, and Alfred Williams. John Mobley, very mobile, Alan Aldridge in the middle, and Bill Romanowski. And the secondary outstanding, Crockett and Gordon at the corners, Braxton and Atwater the safeties. Good and very experienced. Jacksonville with a
there's a double move right at the bottom of the screen.
And whistles to stop the play with a 3 tight end set.
I think Rich Griffith
or Damon Jones, they're
number 85.
No play. Ball start. Number 85 on the offense. Moving prior to ball being snapped. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Griffith is lined up at the wing. We asked Tom Coughlin yesterday, how are you going to handle the snap count, your audibles and everything? He said, well, we didn't really have a problem with it here last year. We're going to keep in our entire audible package. We'll do the silent snap count. It wasn't much of a problem for us a year ago. Well, not the case so far, Frank.
They've got a problem.
Yeah.
And Neil Smith comes out, and he was walking very slowly. Harold Hasselback comes in at left end. Second down and 20 now from the 20-yard line. The fake to Means, and Brunell buying time, guns it deep downfield, intended for Jimmy Smith, and incomplete. Brunell with 2 great targets. Smith this season caught 82 balls. McCardell caught 85.
Well, it's a very effective use of motion to get Brunell out. He's not in any way hurried, but look at that ball.
That was a wind catching that ball.
Oh, did you see that ball tail away to the right? I don't don't think Mark put any English on that in an attempt to do so.
3rd down and 20. Out of the shotgun. Brunell looks for James Stewart, the 3rd down back. And Stewart all the way up to the 37-yard line. He got 17, but they needed 20, and they'll be forced to kick.
Stewart, the 3rd down back that we'll see most of the day, but a good series defensively for Denver, and the biggest part of their defense is their offense. If their offense could put together a drive like they did before or something similar to it, that's the best thing you can do for your defense.
Well, aided greatly by a couple of false starts on the part of a pair of Jacksonville tight ends. Can't afford mistakes on the road in a ball game.
Brian Barker will go to the Pro Bowl, and it's a wobbly duck.
Not off that kick, he won't.
No way.
They'll have to return the pineapple.
They'll mark that up near the 40-yard line. At the 40. Back comes Elway with a 7-0 lead. 24-yard boot. Aerial photography today being provided by Goodyear. A spectacular shot. Mile High Stadium in Denver. More than 70,000 looking on. A reminder coming up on Monday. Quiz Show. The movie, an ABC movie special. Network premiere of Quiz Show at 8 o'clock Eastern Pacific, 7 Central, right here on ABC.
It's a good movie. I liked it. Right now, it's Terrell Davis starring in the Denver Broncos story.
He did on the first drive with 8 carries as the Broncos marched down the field, consuming half the quarter.
It's remarkable when you think back 12 days ago, we watched him in terrible pain on the sideline. They iced down that shoulder, and knowing what a shoulder separation can do to you, I'm just amazed at what he's done here in the first quarter.
From the 40, back to Davis. Cuts it back inside. Up to the 45-yard line. Seth Payne making the tackle. Going back to that first series right off the bat. They gave Davis the ball. He wound up carrying it 8 times. And they also went to him as a pass receiver as well. But John Elway kept calling his number. He started the drive and he finished the drive with a Mile High salute and made it 7-0.
Keep in mind that in the first 14 games of the year when Davis was healthy, he carried the ball over 20 times a game in each one of those ball games. That's one heck of a workload for a running back.
2nd and 5, and here is carry number 10. So he's already halfway there, and he's close to a first down, just a little shy of the 50. Hudson making the tackle.
Hudson hit him about the 46-yard line. Davis has carried him for another 3. He's a load. Good receiver out of the backfield, too. Up very close to a first down, so they'll bring the sticks out.
Yep. They had 42 receptions on the year, Frank, and that's a lot of touches. And you can see why there was a lot of uncertainty here in Denver as to how productive Davis was going to be today.
Boy, but what an impact, as you can see, a little short. A running game can have on your passing game, and you have to have the defense thinking run before they think pass rush. You're in good shape.
Dick Duran, the defensive coordinator of Jacksonville, and with the offensive weapons that the Broncos have, the #1 offense in the NFL, I don't think many people are volunteering for his job this week.
3rd down, inches. The Broncos are 4 for 4 on 3rd down and make it 5 for 5. Davis, 11 carries to the Jaguar 48-yard line. Tackled by Brian Schwartz.
Jacksonville coming with a run blitz, filling every gap on their blitz, and still Terrell Davis was able to get the first.
Word from Lynn Swan. Lynn.
Well, Al, I talked with Elway before the game about throwing into this wind. He said the problem will be throwing from left to right as you look at the field because the ball can trail off. But if you put some heat on it, it shouldn't be a problem. I said, do you talk to your running backs about that fact? He goes, yeah, I mentioned it to them, but they already know I throw a pretty hard pass. Al?
Yes, as McCaffrey found out in particular on that first series. 1st and 10 from the 48-yard line, and they keep calling number 30's number, this time a minimal gain, tackled by Clyde Simmons.
Which will end up being the best part of Denver's passing game is Terrell Davis. This running attack that they're working against Jacksonville right now is going to make play action, which we're going to see relatively soon, all the more effective. A dozen rushes already for Terrell Davis, and still over 4.5 minutes left in the first quarter. That's a game for a lot of running backs in this league.
Earlier this season in a game against the Chiefs, he had 13 carries in the first quarter. Second down and 9, 4.5 minutes to go, and here is number 13. So 5 in a row on this series, and fresh as a daisy to the 37, but a marker goes down. Joel Smingy makes the tackle, and this one will come back.
Bernie Kukar, our referee, threw the flag himself from behind the play.
Holding number 66 on the offense. The 10-yard penalty, still second down.
Tom Nalen, the Pro Bowl center, and that'll negate another first down and a good pickup by Terrell Davis.
Up 66 is Tom Nalen right there. He was out in front. He's locked up on Ronaldo Wynn. Wynn trips and falls, and Nalen ends up going with him. A lot of that was the fact that Wynn went down and Nalen went with him, and it certainly did look like he took him down.
So Derek Lavelle comes in as Davis goes out. Second down and 19. The corner blitz, and Elway escapes, buys time, hits Lavelle, and the ex-49er takes it to the 48. Derek is really their number 3 running back, but they want to save Hebron apparently with that tender hamstring for running back kicks, unless Lavelle is in there right now for the second time of the game.
Lavelle made a few starts for the 49ers for this man, Mike Shanahan, when he was the offensive coordinator there. He likes Lavelle. Good receiver out of the backfield, good running back. Turns this one into a nifty pickup, but leaves John in the passing situation.
Vaughn Hebron along the sideline. He ran back the opening kickoff, but hasn't played in an offensive set to this point. Third down and 8. And coming across the line was Tony Brackens, the free one. Brackens in there as a pass rush specialist. Eddie Robinson falls on Elway.
Well, Brackens not only went off sides, he's lucky he didn't hurt himself. In an attempt to stop, he does a full split. I tell you right now, Frank, if that was me, they'd be taking me off on the back of a cart.
He really did do the splits.
He tried to recover. He tried to throw out the air brakes. Watch this. That's a nice little hook slide. No chance to get back. 7 sacks on the year for Brackens. A lot of it's based on upfield speed. Getting a good jump off the ball is a key part of that. That's what he's trying to get. Trying to anticipate the snap count.
4 wides. Third down and 3. Broncos thus far perfect. 5 for 5 on third down. Elway guns it over the middle, and it is Rod Smith. Free and clear. Touchdown Denver.
I don't know if that was a completed pass or if John Elway impaled Rod Smith with that football.
He's had a lot of drops by Rod Smith. This time he stuck it in there. Jacksonville coming on a blitz, and it was a terrific read by Rod Smith and John Elway. They connect up, and he's gone.
Were my ears betraying me, or could you hear that football hit Rod Smith?
Rod Smith had a bunch of drops earlier in the year, a few weeks ago, particularly against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, did you see him look that ball into his hands? They've been doing that in practice, talking about it, not making a big deal out of it where he's going to get hung up on it, but they have been working on it. We've seen some good catches today.
Smith had 12 receptions for TDs during the regular season. Pretty much like last year. Denver with the early lead, 14-0.
Problem. Starting January 5th, 2020 comes to Monday nights, too.
Join Hugh Downs and me for 2020, Monday.
Budweiser NFL News. The Vikings beat the Giants 23-22 after trailing by 16 points at the half. And they become the first road team since the Cowboys at San Francisco in '72 to win a postseason game, overcoming that large deficit. Vikings play at San Francisco next Saturday, and the winner of tomorrow's Detroit-Tampa Bay game plays at Green Bay next Sunday. Here's the kick with the score 14-0. Denver And it floats down into the arms of Reggie Barlow from the 15-yard line. Barlow, who's becoming one of the best run-back specialists in the league, shows you why as he takes it to midfield. Exactly what Jacksonville needed at this point to get back in the game. Tackled by McKyer, but Elway's been sharp. And with 2.5 to go in the quarter, 14-0. Rod Smith going all the way here.
Freedom in the Air, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. With fares so low, you have the freedom to fly. In last year's AFC divisional playoff game, the Jaguars traveled to the Mile High City, where the Broncos were undefeated. Who would prevail? Stay tuned.
My dream's in Nashville. My heart.
Down passes to Keenan McCardell and Jimmy Smith as Jacksonville shocked Denver 30-27 to advance to the AFC Championship game.
Touchdown, Jaguars!
Denver leading 14-0 with 21 plays having been run by the Broncos. Only 3 plays plus 2 penalties for Jacksonville. And John Elway, with blood on his right hand, had that work done during the commercial break.
I'd say those statistics we saw would support a Denver lead.
Well, pretty much like last year when the Broncos led 12-0 on 2 touchdowns. They scored last year, had the extra point blocked, then scored again and went for 2 points and were successful. And by the half, Jacksonville had the lead. From the 49-yard line, on the ground, Natron Means, it's a pickup of 4.
And this is what they need to get back to. Natron Means, he had 140 yards rushing a year ago and controlled the clock and the game along with quarterback Mark Brunell, but he had a big game as they rolled for over 200 yards on the ground against Denver, but that was a year ago. But they need to go back to it.
2nd and 6 from the 45-yard line. Brunell stepping up, takes it to the 40-yard line. A lot of mobility. Mark Brunell stopped by Neil Smith. It'll be 3rd down and 1. Tanavasa also in on the tackle. And Brunell shaking.
Oh, he's getting up a little tentatively. He wears a brace on his right knee. He doesn't like it, but they tell him you're going to wear it until we tell you you can't wear it.
Hey, Neil Smith comes back in from the right side, and watch how awkwardly Brunell kind of lands after he jumps through that tackle by Neil Smith.
He also got hit on the back after he was down.
3rd and 1. And Brunell throws it, but behind Willie Jackson.
Well, I'll tell you, they got a lot of confidence in Brunell on 3rd and 1 when you've got Natron Means in the backfield.
You're exactly right. In this win,
exactly.
Offensive coordinator Chris Palmer had to be tempted to hand it to his 250-pound running back.
Look at that ball.
Whoa.
And they're thinking about going, at least Brunell was. He was staying out on the field, and now they'll bring Barker out to punt.
Wow, down 14-0 and still without a first down. There are only 2 possessions, 3 and out, even with great field position here.
Well, Chris Palmer, I'm sure, was tempted to give it to Natron Means.
Brian Barker to punt.
Should have.
And Darian Gordon back to receive it.
Play clock had expired, but that will not make much of a difference for Jacksonville.
There is no penalty. We will reset the game clock to 25 seconds.
Boy, down 14-0 as we reset the clock here. Not converting when you start a drive down 14-0 in your opponent's territory, not even getting a first down. That's a critical failure for Jacksonville. There has to be a part of Tom Coughlin that must be thinking about going for it here. Obviously they're punting, but boy, they can't let this game get out of hand.
Barker's kick, he angles it, and that will turn out to be a very good one. It will be marked at the 8-yard line. And that's where Denver will take over. And it's time now for the Home Depot Coaches Fact. Mike Shanahan with a 41-27 mark in regular season games. Highest regular season percentage by any NFL coach who's winless in postseason. Now, Dennis Green was actually second in that category until about an hour ago.
He's off the snide.
Yes.
congratulate Dennis Green, but also Jim Fossil of the Giants on a great season for the Giants, winning that division, sweeping the division. They had a remarkable year.
Denny Green was what, 0-4?
He was. From the 8-yard line, Terrell Davis for a gain of 2. And Mark Brunell can only hope that it's easier to throw the ball going the other way. We mentioned before that the wind is coming out of the north, which is left to right as we look at this field, but it's a swirling wind, and clearly Brunell's had a lot more trouble finding the mark with his passes than has Elway going the other way.
Well, it seems that way too. And Al, when you go from left to right as we look at the field, you're going to what is the open end of the field.
Knowing that, all the more reason to bang in there with Means on a 3rd and short.
Absolutely.
Instead of throwing on 3rd and 1.
2nd and 8. They give it to Davis. And Terrell up to the 11-yard line, setting up another 3rd down where the Broncos have been perfect to this point. 6 for 6 on 3rd down. Payne makes the tackle.
Let's go back and take a look at a couple of the efforts of Mark Brunell. This time, look at that ball just spin and tail away to the right. And again, throwing it out to his left, the ball again.
These are not electronic tricks.
Nope. That is not an optical illusion. The ball is really moving that much.
End of the first quarter, a perfect one for the Broncos. It's Denver 14, Jacksonville nothing. This wild card playoff from Denver resumes after this from our ABC station. Aerial photography provided by Goodyear. Look at the Rocky Mountains.
Look how steady that
Denver. Yeah.
Look how steady that blimp is in the wind up there. That's
yes.
The most beautiful mountains in the world. Some of the great ski areas in the world for sure.
In reverse as well.
New Year's Day. Here's a reminder: 3 bowl games: the CompUSA Florida Citrus Bowl, Florida against Penn State; the Rose Bowl, Michigan and Washington State; and Nokia Sugar Bowl, Florida State and Ohio State.
And it all starts with the Rose Bowl parade.
Yes, it does. On New Year's morning, Thursday, Denver from the 12 on 3rd down. Elway going deep. Smith gets free, makes the catch, taken down in Jacksonville territory, beats Beasley.
I don't know what Beasley was thinking about. He was looking, staring into the backfield.
Well, John Elway right now is saying, well, it's supposed to be a problem throwing the ball going this direction.
I don't know whether Beasley thought he was going to have help deep or not. He gets caught looking into the backfield. Rod Smith just blows right by him.
First play of the second quarter, John Elway didn't seem to have much of a problem going into the wind.
Not at all. Davis from the 48 picks up 1. Davis has now carried the ball 15 times for 51 yards, and the numbers for the first quarter will certainly reflect the one-sidedness of the period on the scoreboard as well.
They're either beautiful or ugly, depending upon your zip code.
Look at the time of possession. Speaking of zip codes, 230, 1230.
Jacksonville still without a first down.
Denver up by 14 and in Jacksonville territory. 2nd down and 9 from the 47-yard line. Elway gets it away. Intended for Griffith, the blocking back. Incomplete. Covered by Schwartz. This wild card game is being brought to you by the new Dodge. It's about change. Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. And the Home Depot, America's home improvement coach. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, and Lynn Swan in Denver. The Broncos have been bucking to this point, 14-0 and on the move again.
In that area of the field where Mark Brunell had problems throwing the football, the open end of the field coming up, pass situation for Elway.
John threw into the wind that time off to the left. It was behind his receiver.
3rd down and 9. Guns it over the middle. Caught by Willie Green to the 25-yard line. Gets inside Beasley.
I think this wind prefers a right-hand spiral. Perfect shot to Willie Green, the pickup from Carolina. During the offseason, we talked about the numerous changes that Denver made after losing to Jacksonville last year, and a good move by Willie Green. He's big, strong, he'll battle for the football. He goes about 6'4". And again, the key to it, Dan, protection.
Absolutely. So far in this football game, Denver's offensive line has been dominant.
And Elway going for 6 more, and this time the coverage is good. McCaffrey, the intended receiver, Travis Davis and Dave Thomas converging on him.
Dave Thomas, he's big. We talked about it a few moments ago. He's 6'3" and about 215 pounds, and he just got right in front of McCaffrey and just dared McCaffrey to run through him. Dave Thomas, who broke his leg a year ago in the 5th game. Watch this. He gets right in front of McCaffrey. Maybe used a little bit of a hand, but he kept McCaffrey from coming back to the football. Good coverage.
Second and 10. Jaguars across the line. Davis takes the handoff.
Well, I'll tell you what, Howard Griffith, the fullback for the Broncos, was also moving towards the line of scrimmage.
He's been doing that, Dan, with regularity. I mean, have not been calling it either.
You could get a motion call against Denver, I think, easily out of this as well.
But they don't.
Yes, they do.
We did get him. They both.
Yeah.
So offsetting.
He's been coming dangerously close to that throughout the first quarter.
Number 37 on the defense, illegal motion. Number 29 on the offense, penalties offset, still second down.
It looked like Howard Griffith almost in some way misjudged the snap count because he makes a serious move. He's the man in motion, and now watch him start towards, there's the flinch by Jacksonville, and Griffith takes 2 steps forward all the way up into that guard center gap.
That movement by Griffith was what actually drew Jacksonville off. He started going to the line of scrimmage, they came.
Second down and 10. Elway, a little shovel pass, and Davis runs right into number 51, Kevin Hardy, the second guy picked in the draft, the linebacker a couple of years ago. Around Jacksonville, a lot of people saying, when's Hardy going to step up? He's been pretty quiet thus far this season. Don't tell Davis.
Well, he stepped up and stepped right into the hole where Terrell Davis was trying to go. This is just a good call, a little twist move from the outside, looping back to the inside, and if Hardy gets there a half a second before, we might have had a loose football.
3rd and 13. This is Denver's 30th play of the game. The Jaguars have run 6. Elway guns it, and it's caught by Smith, and he picks up the first down, and Denver is 9 for 9 on 3rd down.
John Elway threw a brilliant strike. That ball perfectly spiraling, and that is the best way to take the wind off the football, keep it in a tight spiral. Deep downfield to Rod Smith. He really had something on it, and this will be a great look at it. Again, the fine protection. Look at that. That just smoked into Rod Smith.
Well, down 7-0. Jacksonville had a thumb in the dike. Down 14-0. They got their whole hand in the hole. They're on the verge of having the dike fall on top of them right now.
From the 12-yard line, Davis inside the 10. Davis down to the 5-yard line. Matt Bowen, the owner of the Broncos for so many years, has lived through so many postseason games, both wonderful and horrible. And this one's starting out in the former category, at least at the moment.
Yeah, there's such a genuine affection. Pat Bowlen and quarterback John Elway, they don't quite know what John's going to do after this season. But somehow or other, they plan on him staying with this organization.
Second down and 3. Shanahan expects him to be back. Davis. Touchdown Denver. 92 yards.
And most of it against the wind.
For 51 weeks, the Denver Broncos have pointed themselves towards this game, and I said at the top about how much pressure comes with that. And Lynn Swann asks Mike Shanahan, can they translate that energy into something positive on the field? Well, So far, I think the answer to that question is a resounding yes.
And there is no question about the physical ability of this man, Terrell Davis, with an incredible first half.
Jason Elam converts. 92 yards, 11 plays. 10:46 left in the half. Denver 21, Jacksonville nothing.
Let's see. It says here.
Shot of the Rocky Mountains. And it's beautiful in Mile High Stadium for these fans right now. A perfect start for the Broncos, leading 21-0. Jason Elam's kick, fielded at the 3-yard line. This is Mike Logan. And he gets tripped up at the 20 by Darius Johnson. 10:37 remaining in the half. Jaguars trying to get on track. 21-0.
A lot of industry experts told us.
Sang Daisy Fuentes and Dick Clark live from Times Square with the Spice Girls, Usher, Sean Colvin, and Casey and the Sunshine Band. Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve on ABC.
Monday Night Football is live on the web. Get in-depth coverage of today's NFL playoff games at abcmnf.com. Up to the moment, take a look at this. There are the stats. 12-0 in first downs, 235 to 26 in total yardage. And 21-0 on the scoreboard. First down from the 21-yard line. Means picks up 2. Tackled by Keith Traylor. Around the neck. 2nd and 8.
Well, that's a pretty good effort for Keith Traylor to lasso a guy with the power of Means with that high on his body with one arm and just yanking backwards like that. This former linebacker with the Chiefs, now a defensive tackle here in Denver, and brings a lot more quickness to the table for this Bronco defense.
2nd and 8 from the 23-yard line. Brunell throws, and it's low, but Jimmy Smith is there to come back and get it at the 28-yard line.
Good read between Brunell and Jimmy Smith. Blitz on the part of Denver. The Jaguars picked it up, and Jimmy Smith broke it off, and they get the completion.
And Gordon, the cornerback to that side, giving a huge cushion when he knows his team is blitzing. Wonderful job by Smith of making that catch. He kept it off the ground, but Darian Gordon way too far off the ball. You know it's going to be a short pattern.
3rd down and 3. Looking for their first down, and they get it at the 35-yard line. Great protection enabled Brunell to hit Pete Mitchell, the tight end, for a first.
And nobody happier than every member of Jacksonville's defense.
They broke a barrier, a first down barrier. They get one.
Let us get our wits about us. Let us get our breath and see if our offense can keep the football for a while. Nice, safe pattern. Mitchell sits down in the soft part of the zone. They need a whole bunch of those in a row.
Brunell finds Keenan McCardell, and Keenan, who's had a very hot month of December, up to the 40-yard line, tackled there by Ray Crockett.
And yet that's his first catch thus far of the game, isn't it? The leading receiver with 85 receptions coming into this. Not a big receiver, but on the outside, neither one on the outside, Smith or McCardell, but they have great hands and terrific speed.
And that was a good open field one-on-one tackle by Ray Crockett. Certainly the best cover guy of the Denver secondary. He's had a really fine year for Denver.
On 2nd and 6. Good protection again. Smith makes the catch, busts tackles, picks up a first down, gets it to the Denver 45-yard line, tackled by Mobley.
Oh, and he breaks the tackle of Bill Romanowski and gets the first down in doing so. Jimmy Smith and both these wide receivers run well after they catch the football. Both of them over 1,200 yards, over 1,000 yards on receiving. Look at that little burst to the inside for a first down.
So the Jaguars with a little bit of a spark now, trying to get back into the game, go back to the ground, give it to Means. And Natron works it to the 41-yard line where he's tackled by Mobley. Means this season missing a lot of time with a sprained ankle. Still gained more than 800 yards, but did not have a single run of more than 20 yards this year.
And didn't have a 100-yard game all year long. In fact, his last 100-yard effort was here 51 weeks ago when he had 140 against the Broncos. And his yards per carry reflect that injury, Al, only 3.4 per rush.
2nd and 6. Brunell underneath. It's a juggling catch made by Means. He gets to the 39, setting up a 3rd and 4. Smith and Aldridge converge on the tackle.
Jacksonville playing it very smart. Offensive coordinator Chris Palmer calling probably the plays that they had down. They haven't got through their list yet, I'm sure, and why change it? Get back in the game, get yourselves something on the scoreboard, go in at halftime, regroup, and come back out, and you got a new ball game. They know they can come back as they look once again at Neil Smith.
If they've got 20 plays on their script, they may still be working off that script in the 3rd quarter.
Well, they keep looking at it. I don't think they're through it yet.
Meanwhile, Denver ran out of script after that first drive. That first drive was 15 plays. Injury timeout for Smith. 6:23 left in the half. 21-0 Denver.
This is one sadistic TV show.
New hosts, Daisy Fuentes and John Fugelsang. And all new funniest videos 1 week from Monday on ABC.
Back in Denver, it's been all Broncos. And, the one thing we should point out, too, is that even though Jacksonville beat Denver last year, the Broncos have not lost any other game in this stadium for 2 years apart from that one.
Take a look at the entire John Elway era. I can speak firsthand. No tougher place in the NFL to win than Mile High Stadium.
3rd down and 3. And Brunell going deep into double coverage and incomplete, but a flag comes in. McCardell was sandwiched between Braxton and Gordon.
I sure didn't see any violation at the conclusion of this play. Looked like there wasn't any contact till afterwards.
Number 23 on the defense.
They get Darian Gordon for using his hands, but he came a long way to get involved in that double coverage. Yeah, he did.
Right there. Okay, you're right. He did. He had his right hand on McCardell's left shoulder.
When he had the help on the inside, he really didn't need to do this. No. Braxton is in good position to make the play.
No, I didn't see it properly. That's a very good call by the official. It's really kind of senseless. You've got the help from the safety. You got help deep. Really doesn't gain much to reach out and put your hand on the guy's shoulder pad and bicep.
Exactly. 34-yard penalty. 1st and goal. Natron Means to the 1-yard line. Mobley makes the hit. 2nd and goal inside 6 minutes remaining in the first half.
And Jacksonville with a good drive from their own 20-yard line. This is what they needed to do. Get a little confidence, put some points up on the board. Go in at halftime. You're a little closer. You know you can do it. And you know you've done it before, and you come back out and you play a different football game in the second half. And it can't happen.
Neil Smith is back in the game. 2nd down and goal from the 1. Means. No signal.
Boy, it sure looked like he was in there.
Yep. No signal yet from the officials. Will there be a late signal? Yes. Touchdown.
Looked like the whole Jacksonville offensive team was in the end zone.
Ty Halleck led the way with a block. And Viscelli gets into it with Mike Lodish.
And Alfred Williams, his counterpart most of the game.
Size of this offensive line, they couldn't even see Means.
And when Natron gets lost, you're talking about getting lost amongst some big people.
So the penalty on Gordon is a huge one on 3rd and 3, and then it pays off, does the drive with this Means bulling into the end zone.
And by that angle, into the end zone relatively easily.
Mike Hollis for the point after. And so the Jacksonville Jaguars have scrambled back into the game with a long drive. 5:09 left in the first half. Denver 21, Jacksonville 7.
AT&T It's All Within Your Reach presents It's My Game.
Forecast for Denver. Snow by kickoff time at Mile High. Should be 7 to 8 inches of the white stuff. Shannon Sharp, watch your footing. Could be a little treacherous out there. Okay, you see these swirling northwest winds. Don't expect John Elway to be throwing to that. No, instead the Broncos will be giving the ball to Terrell Davis. Should be a defensive battle. Late field goal will win it. That's it for weather. And now to sports.
2 hours? All right.
Search to find the true face of God. Tonight, the search is over. John Denver and George Burns. Oh, God. ABC tonight.
The Jacksonville Jaguars began that last drive without a single first down in the game until that point. And Greg Robinson's defense had barely been on the field until that last drive. John Elway has guided his team to 3 touchdowns, but Jacksonville gets back into the game as Hollis kicks off for the Jaguars. And it's a ground ball that winds up in the end zone and is down there by Hebron.
Almost eerie in talking to Tom Coughlin last night. He said, we just kind of are planning on them getting ahead of us early because that's the way they play. They come out, pick up the momentum, and they particularly play that way here in Denver. And it's almost kind of eerie that he came up with that. And now they come back and they get themselves back into the game.
They've had the lead in every game this season, including the Monday night game in San Francisco when they were leading 10-0. And by the time that one was done, they were a 34-17 loser, and Terrell Davis had a separated shoulder.
I'm not sure he saw himself behind 21-0.
No. First down from the 20-yard line. Elway with a lot of time, and underneath hits Terrell Davis for a short gain, tackled by Hardy. Might have seen himself down 12-0,
Yeah,
but not 21-0.
Maybe a touchdown or something like that.
Davis was laughing because he had to catch that ball in self-defense.
Did you
Elway
see the block?
Deep downfield.
Watch the block on the left side by Howard Griffith as he just jackhammers Brian Schwartz, the middle linebacker. Now that is the way a fullback is supposed to step up and create a pocket for his quarterback.
Second and 8, Davis again.
When a running back gets over 1,700 yards and has a year like Terrell Davis has had here in Denver, it's just like Emmitt Smith in Dallas. Go to the fullback and give that guy a whole lot of credit. And instead of Moose Johnston in Dallas here, it's Howard Griffith. This guy is a ball player.
Third down and 5, and again on third down, sometimes third down stats are irrelevant. In this particular case, extremely relevant.
They do it again with 4 wides.
9 for 9, third and 5.
The 5th one if you count Shannon Sharp, and that's what he is.
Elway throws.
Got to hold it.
For 10, but
you got to hold it.
Smith.
It's coming back.
And Wayne Weaver, the owner of the Jaguars, at first frustrated by what he saw, but he'll be a lot happier after this call that will probably go against Mark Schlereth.
It's really tough. It's only a 4-man rush by the Jaguars.
69 on the offense, but the 10-yard penalty, still third down.
It's a matchup you got to like as an offensive lineman. It's just 5. It's your 5 against their 4 when you're in that 5 receiver spread. But just the fact that Mark Schlereth is out on the field is quite a performance. There he is on the left, number 69. You see he gets the left arm on the outside of Joel Smengi. And that brought flags from 2 different directions.
Schlereth has had 20 surgeries since high school. The last one for a disc.
I think 11 on the left knee and 5 on the right knee.
Unbelievable.
That is.
Third and 15, and Elway throws, and Willie Green made the catch, but they're going to say no. He never had possession. The ball was jarred loose. Aaron Beasley smacked him, and it's 4th down.
And Elway was drilled. What a great throw on the part of John Elway. He knew he was going to get creamed, and he hit his receiver right in stride.
He got creamed by Simmons.
He knew he was going to get this. Threw off balance, still had enough on it. And gets the ball to Willie Green. Willie Green tried to tuck it away, but he takes a shot from Beasley, and he never had control.
Keep in mind, you have to demonstrate possession, and in the NFL nowadays, that involves getting both feet on the ground with possession of the football, and Green didn't get close.
Play a game on the offense. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
On 4th and 15. The delay of game takes them back to the 10. Rick Dennison is the special teams coach.
Jacksonville should get this ball in real good field position.
Shanahan worked up.
Well, he realizes, as Frank said, Jacksonville's probably going to get good field position. Plenty of time.
Tom Ruin into that swirling wind, and it's a floater. Barlow fields at the 34 and gets taken down at the 49-yard line by Randy Hilliard.
What a play by Hilliard. Came around the block to make the stop and get the max out of that punt.
That was Denver's first kick. 3 minutes remaining now in the first half.
Whole lot of things swirling around Ruin, and once he gets that ball away, trips and stumbles over his own guy.
And once a punter sees that he can get the ball away, he'll take the ball from anyone. His old man, he'll try and draw the penalty, and then you see the extracurricular things that go on.
Well, Dave Thomas just falls on top of Ruin and says, hey, I got him. Yep. I think there are more dangerous people to block than the punter.
First and 10 from the 49-yard line. Little swing pass out here to James Stewart. Nice tackle from behind. Alfred Williams grabs him.
Well, that was really nice hustle by Alfred Williams because he's cut to the ground by Baselli. It's Baselli's responsibility to get his hands down so you can complete the pass. A lot of defensive linemen just end up staying on the ground. Alfred hops right up, hustles back in. Watch here in the bottom. Baselli's going to cut Williams right there. He gets his hands down. Alfred, who never went all the way to the ground, that's just nice hustle. Getting back into the play by Williams.
Second down and 7. Jags have all of their timeouts and the 2-minute warning. Into traffic intended for Mitchell, but covered by Gordon and Mobley as well. It'll be third down.
Mobley all over the field once again for Denver. Had a great year. Didn't make the Pro Bowl. A lot of people wonder why he didn't. 4 sacks. He had an interception for a touchdown. He had 3 forced fumbles. The fumble recovery. He did it all. The leading tackler. And he is so quick. He is all over the field.
Yet he made the AP All-Pro team, which is quite an honor.
He made the Monday Night All-Pro team.
And some vindication for John Mobley.
Third and 7 from the 48-yard line. And it is deflected, intended for Jimmy Smith.
I think Gordon might have got it.
Darian Gordon coming in, got a hand on it. Very unusual fall in that circumstance.
Well, it's a very effective corner blitz called by Greg Robinson. Gordon's lined up on the slot receiver and comes.
Well, it's a hokey little screen out to the outside flanker with a one-man blocker in front of it. And it is destructed right here. Darian Gordon coming on the blitz, spots it and goes up and bats it away.
Good adjective for that screen, a hokey little screen. Barker. Line drive kick fielded by Gordon at the 14-yard line, and Darian Gordon comes all the way back out to the 28-yard line as we reach the 2-minute warning. So Elway takes over, trying to extend the lead. 2 minutes to go in the half. Denver 21, Jacksonville 7. This is our last telecast for a while, but we're back with you on Sunday, February 1st, the end of the season, the Pro Bowl from Honolulu, which begins this year at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Brett Favre will be there. John Elway will be there.
Mark Brunell's going there.
Yep.
5 reps from either team playing here today.
First half possessions, 3 touchdowns and a punt for Denver. Now possession 5. Elway has all of his timeouts. 2 minutes to go. Inside give. Terrell Davis slips through the opening and is taken down at the 32-yard line after a gain of 5. Took a big hit. Beasley and Brackens converge on the tackle with 148 ticking down.
Well, if Terrell hops up from that,
shaking his head a little bit, but he did hop up.
With an intact shoulder, it is all right. That was a major collision between Brackens and Davis at the conclusion of that play.
Davis, 19 carries in the first half. Second down and 4. And now his 20th carry. A first down as he takes it out to the 43. Chris Hudson hits him.
Boy, that's the type of run.
Are you sure, Al?
After he was the hit team.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might want to rephrase that.
Yeah, that's the kind of running, though, that can take a life right out of a team. Just pulling over tacklers that could have kept him short of the first down.
They can take the life out of Hudson. Number 37 was on the receiving end. He gets credit for a tackle.
Did you get that license plate? He was really hammered.
That is a statistical term. This is a remarkable performance by Terrell Davis, and he has already touched the ball 23 times in the first half of play. A guy that coming into this game, questionable how effective he was going to be. Not only is he effective, he is punishing as well.
Chris Hudson really took a shot. He'll think twice next time.
1st and 10 after Denver's first timeout from the 43. Broncos up by 14. Elway under pressure, loses the football, and is able to find it and recover it himself back at the 33-yard line.
Now that'll be a sack. John Elway back to throw, getting stripped of the football, and lost it for a minute, didn't find it. And luckily, nobody from Jacksonville saw it quickly either.
Takes a Major League Denver bounce. Is that his own man?
I don't think so. One of the Jaguars stripped it. Is it Smingy right there?
Smingy?
Yeah.
Yep. Got a hand in there. Got a hand, reached in and pulled it out.
Second down and 19, back to the ground. And this time Davis doesn't go very far. Clyde Simmons ties in at the 36-yard line. And now Jacksonville's going to take a timeout. It's just going to be 3rd down and long for Denver. So the Jaguars take the timeout. Davis has now carried 21 times. The record for most carries in a postseason game is shared by Ricky Bell of Tampa Bay in 1979 and John Riggins of the Redskins in the Super Bowl following the 82 season. They each carried 38 times. Davis, 21 carries in the first half.
What Tom Coughlin has to do with his ball club when he gets in there at halftime is talk to them about how we have not taken advantage of our field position. They've had the ball 4 times, and their touchdown drive started with their worst field position back at their own 21-yard line. They had the ball at their own 30, 3 and out, a punt. They had it at their own 49, 3 and out, a punt. They started at the Denver 49, 3 and out, and a punt. They have had their opportunities from a field position standpoint and done nothing with it.
3rd down and 18, and no play, whistles before the snap. Shannon Sharp was moving.
That's one of our pet peeves, Frank. Flexed out like that.
No reason in the world.
False start.
Number 84 on the offense. That's a 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
You're looking in at the ball, but it happens.
He split out about 3 or 4 yards from his offensive tackle in the bottom left of your screen. There's Shannon Sharp.
Looking at the ball all the way.
That's just a loss of concentration.
Elway on 3rd down. But this is the first time he's faced a 3rd and 23.
Not only has he completed 6 out of 7, but every one of those 6 completions went for a first down.
They have to get to the Jaguar 47 to convert. Elway slides to a stop at the 28, and now Jacksonville takes the timeout with 27 seconds remaining.
John Elway playing it very conservative there. He didn't want to turn it over and give Jacksonville the ball at midfield again.
Maturity is a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, there were times he would have been hurdling over Jacksonville Jaguars.
Exactly right.
Throwing his body into the path of everything.
That ball might have been flying across the middle of the field trying to complete a dangerous pass that might make the highlight reel, either of your team or theirs.
Yet he's coming off one of his best seasons ever. The most touchdowns he's ever had on a season. Quarterback rating 87.5, and for John, that represents about, I think, the 3rd highest of his career.
So Brunell's going to take over. He has 1 timeout, and they have the Pro Bowl kicker in Mike Hollis, if they can work themselves into field goal range. Tom Ruin to punt. Reggie Barlow back to accept it. And the ball dies in the wind, but takes a good Denver bounce. A great Denver bounce under the circumstance, and the Broncos just wait and wait and wait.
And the clock runs and runs and runs.
Dead. Yep, 17 seconds on that play.
That's as perfect as it could be for Denver.
And just about everything working against Jacksonville here in the first half.
So Larry Pasquale, the special teams coach. They had Barlow back there, but Barlow couldn't come up to make the catch because the wind knocked it down. And now instead of looking for a play that gets them into field goal range, I would suspect they'll just run out the clock.
I think we all came into this game wondering how Terrell Davis was going to be. Dan touched on it right at the very top of the show. You know how he is.
Who saw this coming?
Davis, 21 carries, 83 yards in the half. 3 touchdown drives out of the blocks for the Broncos. And at the half, the Denver Broncos lead the Jacksonville Jaguars 21-7 at Mile High Stadium. From Denver, we go to New York now, and Chris Berman. Chris.
All right, Al, thank you. And coming up on our Lexus halftime report, Boomer Esiason and I will talk about this game, a look at a family affair at the Rose Bowl, and a look back at that wild first game as the Vikings authored one of the biggest comebacks in playoff history. All that after this message and a word from our ABC station.
Island. The Lexus Halftime Report. Brought to you by Lexus. The future of Lexus is here. Fasten your seatbelts. Once again, live from our New York studio, Chris Berman and Boomer Esiason.
First game, wild. The Vikings beat the Giants 23-22. Minnesota wins after being down 19-3 at the half, which is the 5th greatest comeback in playoff history. And the vaunted Giants defense surrendered 20 second half points and bickered among themselves. Still, though, minute and a half to go, it was the Giants leading 22-13. And then Brandon Cunningham, 30 yards. Jake Reed in, out.
Little controversy here. This will be talked about all week here in New York.
Well, then that set up the onside kick. Chris Callahan. Oh, no. No, it's out of his hands. It's Chris Walsh. Falls on it. Vikings drive down the field, which sets up 10 seconds to go. 24-yard field goal. Eddie, Eat, Drink, and B. Murray. Dennis Green wins for the first in 5 tries in the playoffs, 23-22 Minnesota. Vikes at San Francisco on Saturday. They move on. Afterwards, his son Jesse Armstead spoke with our Leslie Visser.
It's so unusual to see players on the same team fighting among each other. What happened with your defense?
Well, if you guys, had a problem between each other, arguing about what side to go on, instead of arguing, just grab a man. Don't make no difference who you got to cover. That's the only thing. And, me being the leader, I had to step in between it, and, cut everything down.
Well, it's still been a wonderful season. Thank you for stopping by, Jesse. Back to you, Boomer.
All right, Leslie, thank you. Great job hanging in by the Vikings because it did not look good.
Well, it really didn't look good. And when you look back at that game, you got to say, wow, to the Vikings defense. They're the ones that forced 5 field goals. As an offensive player, I'd love to have 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals. But unfortunately, that didn't happen for the Giants today. But really, you look at Randall Cunningham's game, another. In the first half, he was not very good. In the second half, he came back. And it's that old veteran quarterback perseverance. He's been in the wars, and he knows what's going on, and he hung tough.
I wonder if the youngest team in football, the Giants, might have played defense a little differently up 8 rather than up 9 late. We'll never know.
Oh, boy, you're a Monday morning quarterback, aren't you? You have all the answers, just like all the media. You have all the
Saturday afternoon quarterback. Well, we have plenty more coming up when we return here at halftime.
Monday Night Football is live on the web at abcmnf.com.
Hope you can be with us on New Year's Day for the Rose Bowl coverage beginning at 4:30 Eastern Time. Well, 25 years ago, the Miami Dolphins authored the NFL's only perfect season, finishing the task behind quarterback Bob Greasy at the LA Coliseum. On New Year's Day, across town at the Rose Bowl, his son Brian will attempt to author a perfect season as well for Michigan. And if they can beat Washington State, they could very well win the national championship. Bob will be watching from our broadcast booth. Here's Jimmy Roberts.
The son of a famous father who just might like to do the old man one better. You see it all the time, but this scenario has something of an odd twist.
Somebody's in there. Big play, Brian Greasy, keeping it alive, getting outside the pocket. Somebody's open, okay, I'm going to give it to him.
I know everybody out there is wondering how I can do this. I mean, I love my kid. There ain't no question about that. But my kid knows that I have a job to do also. The truth is that he is up there with sweaty palms, barely being able to hold on to his pieces of paper.
Brian Greasy almost passed up playing this season. He could have graduated in June, but his brother convinced him to come back. On the line now, a national title, and perhaps something more.
Before this season started, I had a couple of things on my kid here. I mean, I'm the only one in this family that had ever been to a Rose Bowl. I'm still the only one that ever won one. Let's take care of that one.
It seems like a perfect situation, doesn't it? A perfect season, a chance at a national title with Dad along for the ride, sitting in the best seat in the house. But in fact, it's not exactly perfect because there's something missing. Mom. After a 6-year battle with breast cancer, Judy Greasy died when Brian was just 12.
When Judy died, and Brian was the only one home, Brian and I think, became much closer and much better friends because we had to. I leaned on him and he leaned on me.
Breakfast was their time together. Bob cooked, or as Brian says, he tried to.
Everybody talks about the perfect season and the Miami Dolphins 17-0 and how much of a perfectionist he is. So when I would come out and the eggs were broken and I'm running all over the plate, you know, I would be like, well, come on. That was in the early days.
This is how they are. They spar about what's serious and what's superficial. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference.
It's obviously not really a rivalry between Michigan and Purdue because Michigan always wins. So when I was there, we beat them all 3 years. But you never won the Big Ten championship.
Oh, boy! Those terrible times when Bob burnt the toast and butchered the eggs left a loving imprint, more meaningful than a game they both love, a position they both share, or perfect championship seasons, which in the public eye might connect them.
More than anything else, we got along together because we depended on each other. He's my best friend without a doubt.
Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. Well, Dennis Green's Vikings came back. What does Tom Coughlin tell the Jaguars down 21-7 at halftime?
Well, I'll tell you what. Tom Coughlin saying, "Look, we scored points right at the end of the game. Don't worry at the end of the half. Don't worry about it. Let's calm down. They have big play personnel there. They can make it happen. This game is not over for a long shot."
Will it be deja vu all over again? 21-7 Denver at the half.
Crystal water turns to dark, where'er its presence leaves its mark, and boiling currents pound like drums when something wicked this way comes. Introducing the faster, sleeker, meaner GS Motor Trend Import Car of the Year.
The Lexus Halftime Report has been brought to you by Lexus in the new, faster, sleeker, meaner GS. We'll be back with the second half kickoff after this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC stations.
Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, and Lynn Swan at Mile High Stadium. John Elway is loosening up, but Mark Brunell will get the ball first because Jacksonville to receive and Jason Elam to kick off. And a floating short kick taken at the 16-yard line by Reggie Barlow. Straight up the middle into Denver territory, and the second half begins with a big run back forced out by Tim McKyer. And down at one point 21-0 and now 21-7. And with their personnel, and Tom Coughlin doesn't look like he's necessarily a happy man, but he's so intense and so into it that this team with a ton of time and the right people to make things happen.
Great field position. I think they have all the confidence. I don't think they were shaken up by the fact they got down 21-0 because they knew they could come back. They talked about it yesterday. They maybe would get down. Denver does that, and they get off to great starts, and here they are.
58-yard run back. And out of the I formation. And it's Natron Means, and it's a good time to go back to the running game and bring it inside the 25 to the 23-yard line.
Yeah, in reality, for Tom Coughlin right now, he's got to treat this as a nothing ball game. He can't act like he's 14 points behind. And just, again, the score reflects the complete domination by the Denver Broncos. 246 yards of offense in one half is just super.
Second down and 6, and the Jaguars, because they were trailing early, only 18 yards on the ground. But now Natron Means with his second run takes it to the 20-yard line. It'll be third down and 3.
And Denver has had problems during the course of the year handling big backs. And you're right, if I'm Chris Palmer, I keep coming at them here with Natron Means. They only have to cover 20 yards here, and you saw that yardage disparity. They've only got to cover 20 yards here to make this a one-touchdown football game. That's more than anybody who's rooting for Jacksonville could ask for.
Big third down play, 3rd and 3 at the 20-yard line. Blitz, Brunell throws, but the pass is incomplete. Would have been short anyway had McCardell been able to hold on.
It was short, he couldn't handle it. And now what will Jacksonville do? They leave Mark Brunell on the field on 4th down. Now they rethink it, and out comes the kicking unit. For a moment, well, I think Tom thought about going for it, changed his mind. And it was a good decision.
Mike Hollis, he'll go to the Pro Bowl. But that's the second time in a row on a key third down play that Jacksonville has come up short. This is a 38-yarder. Hollis kicks it off the upright, and it bangs through. Karam shot. From 38. They pick up 3, and the Denver lead is now down to 11.
How fast? But inside.
Vaughn Hebron back to receive the kick for the Denver Broncos as they get the ball for the first time in the second half. 13:33 left in the third. The Broncos leading 21-10. Mike Hollis. Hebron drops it at the 1 and picks it up at the 3. And gets tackled up at the 15-yard line. Let's get an update from Lynn Swan. Lynn.
Well, Al, I talked to Tom Coughlin as he came out for the second half, and he said in the first half, his entire team, offensively and defensively, were unsettled. He said they weren't into that game. He said he wished he could take back a couple of plays that were called. He should have run the ball a little bit more. He said coming out in the second half, they're going to try and do the things that were successful for them on the touchdown drive. The short passes, he believes Mark can throw the ball deep down the field, even with the wind. Al?
All right, a promising beginning, Lynn, to that first drive, but it ended with a field goal, and now Davis picks up where he leaves off in the first half up to the 22-yard line on his 22nd rush of the afternoon.
Yeah, what a shocking turn of development that they'd handed off to Terrell Davis.
Well, you know that the defensive unit for Jacksonville and Dan and Al talked about different ways to stop Terrell Davis, and you got to fill every gap with this guy, or you're not going to stop him. You know that was their prime consideration when they came back out. For him on the very first play to rip off 7 yards, that's got to hurt.
Well, they have got to walk Travis Davis up to the line of scrimmage. They have got to get their safeties involved, and of course that leaves them open to the play action.
Davis picks up the first down, 5 more yards, now has 95 on the afternoon. First down. This Wildcard playoff game is being brought to you by Lay's. Make your lunch special with Lay's. Nissan, who reminds you that life is a journey, enjoy the ride. And Miller Lite, now official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Dick Duran has no choice now but to put at least 8, and in that last play he had 9 people relatively close to the line of scrimmage. At some point in time, John Elway has got to test the deep post off a play action.
Free play for John.
Yep. As it was Brian Schwartz coming across the line.
Jacksonville on the blitz, mistimed the count, and they'll get the offsides.
Referee Bernie Kukar.
Offside on the defense, number 58, up to 5-yard penalty, still first down.
First and 5. Now the winner of this game will have to wait until tomorrow's AFC game between New England and Miami is over to know where they are going.
Here comes the blitz. Schwartz just mistiming it.
Winner of this game will either go to Pittsburgh or Kansas City. If Miami wins tomorrow, the winner of this game will go to Pittsburgh. Otherwise, if New England wins, they go to KC. Elway throws.
throws, and Sharp can't one-hand it. He was covered by the linebacker, Kevin Hardy.
Well, he was covered well. It made John put him in a position of having to throw the perfect pass rather than risk the interception. And Kevin Hardy had pretty good coverage on Sharp, who is still not caught a football today.
And it's really a matchup that Mike Shanahan and Gary Kubiak wanted.
Love it.
Shannon Sharp locked up in man coverage all the way with Hardy.
So look at Hardy. He's right there forcing John to throw the perfect pass if he's going to get a completion.
And he lost his shoe. Sharp threw a shoe on the play and comes out now, and Dwayne Carswell comes in. Second down and 5.
Shoeless Shannon Sharp.
It's Terrell Davis with his shoes on and everything else working, and full and good order today to the 39-yard line.
Big play off a blitz defense. Once again, Denver blocking it out really well. And we have a Jaguar slow getting up.
Ryan Schwartz. Meanwhile, Sammy Winder with 102 yards in a playoff game against New England. That has been the Denver postseason record. And Terrell Davis right now at 102. Tying the mark with 11:21 to go in the third quarter. There's an NFL playoff act brought to you by Prudential. Just one team has beaten the same opponent on the road in postseason play in consecutive years. Washington at Chicago in 86 and 87. That's something the Jaguars are trying to accomplish today. And in 87, as Brian Schwartz is okay, and he's off for this play, and so is Clyde Simmons. In 87, the Skins went on to win the Super Bowl. Now Elway on 1st and 10 throws. Caught by Sharp, who's been pretty quiet to this point today. That's his first catch.
Skins went on to win that Super Bowl by beating Denver.
Yep. After Denver had a 10-0 lead.
Super Bowl 22, I believe,
right.
At the then Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego.
This ball delivered to Shannon Sharp. It only picked up about 4 yards on the play, but after it was over, John Elway walked over to him, and they both kind of high-fived it. I think they realized they've got something started now. That's his first reception.
Second down and 4. Davis to the 47, setting up a 3rd and 2. Payne and Robinson converge on the tackle.
Shannon Sharp, the leading receiver for the Broncos. And it makes sense that Jacksonville has tried to take him out of the game, but they've gone back to covering him with a linebacker, and I got a feeling we're going to see a lot of him here in the second half. Have to work on his shoe problem.
3rd down and a short 2. Davis juggled it and gets popped back at the line of scrimmage by Brian Schwartz, who was out for a play, comes back in and makes a very big play here.
Now, the best tackle of the day for Jacksonville defensively, not only stopping Denver from getting a first down, but making a bit of a statement as well. That was simply a sensational play for a middle linebacker. Watch him scrape. There's his fullback out front, right into the hole. That's his hole. And boy, not often do you see Terrell Davis go backwards after the contact is made.
Tom Ruin has it blocked. And not only is it blocked, Travis Davis came up with the ball. An amazing play.
I don't think that ball ever touched the ground.
I don't think so either. He blocked it and caught it. Unbelievable.
Huge play for Jacksonville.
I don't think I have ever seen a ball come off the punter's foot and just stick in the midsection of the guy that blocked it.
I think you used the operative word, Dan. It just stuck in there. It came right off the foot.
That looked like it was a Velcro stuck to Travis Davis's stomach. He's going to come in on the left side. He comes in right up the middle, untouched. And that ball never did touch the ground. Will you look at that?
Bounced off his chest, and he caught it.
First of all, a complete blow by the Denver punt team, allowing a guy to come up the middle untouched. Rick Dennison has to be out of his mind.
Mike Hollis for the point after. Ruin did not have a punt block during the entire regular season. 9:16 left in the third. How about this one? At one point, 21-0. Right now, 21-17.
Well, here's how the ball ball sticks to Travis Davis. It's going to bounce off the right forearm right there of punter Tom Ruin, right back to Travis Davis. So that was a very fortunate deflection off the forearm of Ruin right back to Davis, but still horrible blocking by Denver up front to let Davis run loose up the middle.
Thomas's kickoff. Hebron from the 3-yard line. And Vaughn Hebron reignites the Broncos. Out of bounds at the Jaguar 45.
Hebron was questionable before today's game. They made him come out and run sprints 2 hours before the game to determine whether he was even going to suit up or not. 2 key special teams plays here in the third quarter.
Another look at the blocked punt by Travis Davis. Ruin never had a chance. You can't do much about a guy that comes up the middle completely untouched. And in a game where they are being dominated in so many respects, Jacksonville only less than a touchdown behind. This is some turnaround.
51-yard run back. Elway throws. And it will be 2nd and 10, intended for Rod Smith. Of late, one of Jacksonville's problems has been, coming down the stretch in the regular season, coverage on kickoffs.
And Denver's problem has been blowing leads, having leads. And you can't tell me that every guy in a Denver uniform right now doesn't have some nagging doubt about what the heck is going on out here. Leads against the 49ers, against the Steelers, against the Chiefs.
Surveys and hits Davis on a swing pass. He's ridden down at the 40-yard line. Tackle made by Robinson. It'll set up a 3rd down and 4.
One of the reasons that Davis has so many receptions, over 40 on the year, he has good hands. Not only is he a terrific running back, this guy can catch the football. That was a spin around and a fine catch. Brian George, we saw him earlier go off the field, came back and made a terrific 3rd down stop. He's back on. Perfectly all right.
3rd down 4. 8.5 to go in the 3rd. Elway throws, and that's incomplete, intended for Green. There's the flag, and there comes the flag. Dave Thomas.
Thomas celebrating a little too early. Just wait till it's over, Dave.
This flag came in from about 20 yards downfield. Anytime there's only one flag thrown, the conference asking everybody else what they saw.
It's a hold against Jacksonville, automatic first.
Number 41 on the defense. That's a 5-yard penalty and a first down.
Well, Dave Thomas had a grip on Willie Green's jersey, even though he had inside help.
When you look at it from that angle, that's exactly what the official down the field saw, and no question that he held it.
Meanwhile, that Travis Davis block was such a shocking development when you think about it, and if Coughlin did, it probably should have gone for 2 points to make it 21-18. 1st and 10 from the 35. Travis, this is Davis, Terrell Davis, stopped by Travis Davis, but not until he picks up the first down.
Yeah, I guess, Al, what he's thinking is what stage of the ball game it is, and maybe that's not as important, you know, when we're still not even halfway through the third quarter.
This is what you call your basic north and south. Terrell Davis not even thinking about veering right or left.
But when you look at that chart that says whether to go for 1 or to go for 2, certainly when you're down by 5, it's to go for 2.
By 4 points, by 5 at 21-16. Davis takes the ball to the 20-yard line.
He's just pounding his own men out of his path. Sometimes when you're the lead blocker, like Howard Griffith is, and a good one of the best around, you take kind of a bruising from your own man. Eddie Robinson with a face mask in on Terrell Davis that goes unflagged.
Going to be 2nd down and 6, and Bernie Kukar is signaling for a momentary timeout while they fix the chain. Only as strong as its weakest link.
A very important drive for Denver. Dan touched on it a moment ago. They'd have to be wondering a little bit. They've been giving up leads in almost practically every game they have played down the stretch. If they could come right back from a bad break like that blocked punt, put some points up there, they'd get a lot of their confidence back.
Second down and 6. Griffith. And he has a first down out of bounds at the 12-yard line.
Yeah, Terrell Davis has run all over this field. He's caught passes. That time he picked up 2 men and gave John Elway a chance to throw the football. He's some football player. He picked them up and put them down. He just picked them both up, though, and dropped them. Watch this now. Watch number 30. To give John Elway a chance. Griffith gets him, misses his man. Or actually, he's the receiver. He was taking a block coming out of the backfield. Terrell Davis made a terrific block.
First down. Davis puts his head down. Burrows to the 8-yard line, tackled by Brian Schwartz.
Boy, how discouraging this is to a defense. Special teams have gotten them back into the ball game, gotten them close, and now Denver has come back out and just taken command once again offensively.
Boy, Mark Schlereth, number 69, he can barely make it back to the Broncos huddle. He of the many operated on body parts. He's hobbling.
And has a recent disc surgery. Second down and 7 from the 9. Look out from the corner. The ball is loose. It was Chris Hudson who jarred the football loose, and Jacksonville has it.
Once again, they make the play.
Elway fumbles for the second time in the game, and the rookie Ronaldo Wynn, their top draft choice from Notre Dame.
And John's still down. John Elway
is hurt.
Oh. He does not see this coming from the blind side. Chris Hudson. A good job of not spearing Elway. Hits him with his chest.
And Elway up and walking off.
Hello, America. Monday Night Football? No problem. Starting January 5th, 2020 comes to Monday nights, too.
Join Hugh Downs and me for 2020, Monday.
They work on John Elway. Bubby Brister is their number 2 quarterback. Meanwhile, Jacksonville at one time down 21-0 has the ball down by 4 from the 20-yard line. There was action along the line, but no flag, and it's caught up at the 32-yard line by Jimmy Smith. Jimmy Smith and Keenan McCardell, a great tandem, 2 years running now.
Ray Crockett almost got there, went for the interception. He was kind of slow getting up. I don't know whether the offensive people upstairs for Jacksonville saw that, but he was a little wobbly.
That Elway fumble was the first turnover of the game. Natron Means now slips a tackle in the backfield, and Means pulls his way to the 47-yard line. Braxton and Romanowski combined to stop him.
Remember last year, 140 yards for Natron Means in this game. Missed tackles. Darian Gordon had a shot at him. They don't take him down low. Not if you're the size of Darian Gordon.
No, but you saw that was a good job by Means of finishing that run. He finished it by knocking 2 Denver guys over backwards.
14-yard run. Brunell over the middle. Wide open over the middle was Damon Jones, the rookie tight end to the 16-yard line. A kid out of Southern Illinois who scored a touchdown last week at Oakland.
And little or no pass rush on the part of Denver. Brunell would look from one receiver to another until finally Damon Jones came open. A worried look of head coach Mike Shanahan.
Worried and shocked.
Look at this protection. And Jones wide open.
From the 16-yard line.
Brunell changing it at the line of scrimmage.
Still has a lot of time on the play clock and then fumbles the ball. And the Denver Broncos, Alan Aldridge comes up with it.
Do you believe this? Fumble exchange. That's what's hard to understand. This is no blindside sack. Oh, mistakes like that in a playoff game.
Dave Weidel, the snapper, the center, a former Bronco.
Well, the snap appears to hit Mark Brunell right in the hands. Brunell didn't appear to be ready for it. And Weidel didn't have a difficult line to the man he was going to block. Just almost straight ahead. I'm wondering if that snap was early. Because it didn't look like the entire Jacksonville offensive line was getting off on the ball.
And that would mean Brunell was not ready for it.
It didn't look like Mark Brunell was prepared for that snap.
They had changed the play, and Weidel may have blown the snap count. From the 16-yard line, Elway in the game, back in the game, and it's Griffith. And he's taken down by Kevin Hardy.
That ball's on the ground.
Jaguars did look confused before the play, or at least listening to Brunell, and then the confusion developed.
Remember, right before we pick it up here, he's changed the play. Now let's watch the get off. They're all changing it along the line of scrimmage now. But let's look at the other offensive linemen. Do they get off on the snap?
Well, Weidel even turned, I think, to Brunell.
No, that was an early snap. His right guard, Searcy, the right tackle, still down in their stance.
No question.
After the ball was snapped.
Second down and 9 from the 17-yard line. Blitz is picked up beautifully. Catch is made by McCaffrey. He gets wrestled down at the 26, a little short of the first down. He was wrestling for that first, but it appears to be third down and inches.
McCaffrey stretched for it, all 6'5" of him, but he comes up a little bit short, I believe. Again, Denver picking up the blitz, giving Elway time to throw the football. And we have been told Elway just had the wind knocked out of him momentarily, and he's fine. And they'll bring the sticks out. But a good pickup on the part of the offensive line. McCaffrey now battles. He knows where he has to go for the first down, and he comes up a little short. 3rd and 6 inches. What do you think John's getting in his ear right now?
Number 30.
Be pretty surprising if it wasn't. Earlier in his career, maybe a quarterback sneak. John's big, 6'3", 215. But when you got a Terrell Davis, you want to put the football in his hands.
Clock starts again, 2:40 left in the third. Broncos up by 4. Davis. Out to the 29-yard line to move the chains.
See, we could be offensive coordinators.
Absolutely.
We're all over this thing.
Not a problem.
Did you see him plant that foot, though? He saw a little bit of a gap. Again, he's 210. He plays like he's 240. Plants with the right foot. Saw a little bit of a gap. There's no way he was not going to get a first down. A 6th-round draft choice in 95. A whole lot of production from a 6th-rounder. He's not as pretty as Barry Sanders to watch run, but he is certainly one effective running back.
Detron Smith is in at fullback, and he'll lead the way for Davis. And Davis with a big hole. Terrell Davis off to the races. Inside the 30. Finally dragged down at the 13-yard line.
I take it back. He looked like Barry Sanders. And you know what, Terrell? Just stay there for a while. You got a right to be tired.
Detron Smith, who's playing in place of the dinged Howard Griffith, the backup fullback with the block to spring him. 59 yards.
And Davis deserves the break. Again, look at the lead block by Smith. The outstanding blocking by his offensive line. Terrell Davis, to this point, not even touched by anybody on Jacksonville's defense, as they have been
been doing for the majority of the game. This Bronco offensive line and the lead back, whether it be Detron Smith or Howard Griffith, most of the time has just been outstanding on the running game.
That's 31 carries for Terrell Davis. Questionable coming in to some degree, not on the part of the Broncos. They told us he was 100% and they were going to go with him.
And we're still in the third quarter, Frank.
I know.
He's on 31 carries.
That last carry, 59 yards, the longest in the postseason history of the Broncos. Broke his own mark, 47, last year against the Jaguars.
You know the cardiovascular conditioning and shape that you have to be in to handle the ball 35 times at a mile altitude and not even 3/4 of football. This is a remarkable physical performance by Terrell Davis here today.
And it's not the proverbial mile, it's exactly 5,280 feet from the 13-yard line.
That's motion on the Broncos. Detron Smith.
Flag down. That time Smith obviously blowing the snap count.
But it is hard for the average layperson to understand
Illegal motion.
the kind of shape that a man like Terrell Davis has pounded his body into over the years to be able to do something like this here today. There's a lot more to it than just wanting to do it here today. That's years of work in the weight room and on the treadmill and out on the track paying off.
And he hasn't really been able to do that much over the past 12 days either. He was hurt this 12 days ago in our Monday night game. Slightly separated shoulder. What a performance. First down and 15 from the 18-yard line. Derek Lavelle is in the backfield. He gets taken down by Ronaldo Wynn at the 15-yard line. Let's go 30. Second and 12, and Davis is on his way back into the game.
And the Broncos are going to have to run a play. The play clock is about 2 seconds ahead of the game clock, so they can't just allow the third quarter to expire.
The wind has really quieted, much to the relief of both quarterbacks, I'm sure. Second and 12 from the 15. A little toss and an errant toss, and the Jaguars appear to have covered the football, and they do.
Denver doing everything they can do to keep Jacksonville in this game.
Dave Thomas recovers it.
2 consecutive possessions, turning the ball over deep in Jacksonville territory.
This is the first time I've seen this on part of Denver. It's a little bit of a screen. They bring in Willie Green. He's part of it. They flip the lateral out to Terrell Davis. John Elway's fault there. That was behind him over his shoulder. And Jacksonville has it back.
Susie.
Well, here is I guess the bad pitch by John Elway over the right shoulder of Terrell Davis. We've been spending the last couple of minutes trying to figure out what that play was going to be, and we can't come up with it.
1 second left in the quarter, and Brunell slips and goes down, and it's a gift sack for Ama'a Tanuvasa. And that's the way the third quarter will end, in a wild one in Denver, where the Broncos at one point led 21-17. Pat Bowlen and Wayne Weaver. What an afternoon. 15 minutes left in regulation. And back we come to Denver after this from our ABC stations.
Customers are suffering from back pain, but they're...
Tonight on ABC, the movie Oh God with George Burns and John Denver, and then the practice in prime time tonight right here on ABC. We start the fourth quarter. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Dearborn, Lynn Swan. It is second down and 18 for the Jaguars, and Brunell throws, and that's incomplete, intended for Keenan McCardell. Delayed blitz on the part of Denver, and it hurried Brunell.
John Mobley. It was a heck of a job by Natron Means coming back and picking up Mobley. He kept Brunell from taking the hit.
Denver fans, Denver players have to remember the fourth quarter last year, an 8-minute and 32-second drive by Brunell and these Jaguars that put them up by 10 in the fourth quarter and really sealed that game. 3rd and 18 from the gun. They have to get to the 36 to convert. The catch made at the 25 of McCardell. Tackled there, 4th and 11. A smart call. Hopefully you're going to be able to break a tackle if you're a Jaguar player, but you don't do anything risky going for all of it, get it picked off. You're well in this game. You got a lot of time left. You're 4 points down. Good safe call. Get the completion. Hope you can get the run afterwards. If they don't, they'll have to punt, but it's safe. Brian Barker to punt. Darian Gordon to return it. Low, bad kick, but a very good Jacksonville bounce.
Another flag all the way across the field, I think.
At the
Is that a flag? Or
I can't tell. It's a flag. It's at the 27-yard line.
It's a flag. My eyes aren't that good.
It's at the line of scrimmage.
Ineligible man downfield against
they don't want that over.
Jacksonville.
I wouldn't think, would they? It's going to make them kick again.
Well, it ended up being a heck of a net on the punt because of the lack of a return.
46 yards.
Yeah.
Ineligible member of the kicking team, number 57, downfield. That's a 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Well, we'll see if they made a wise decision.
Well, with a 46-yard net and Darian Gordon as your return guy, you got to make him kick again.
Right.
Larry Pasquale, the special teams coach, trying to explain to his head coach.
You persuaded me with the Gordon factor.
That's right.
3 returns for touchdowns this year by Darian Gordon. But the ball travels a long way here. Barker's kick is another wobbly kick. The wind holds it up. And a good break for Denver.
What a great decision.
Immediately at the 47 by Rich Griffith. So Denver takes over in Jacksonville territory. Up by 4. Great decision.
Those that hide in plain sight.
They look pretty human to me.
Premiering in January. Prey. Thursdays on ABC.
New Year's Day on ABC, the CompUSA Florida Citrus Bowl. That's Florida against Penn State at 1 Eastern. Rose Bowl, Michigan and Washington State, the big one from Pasadena. Then at night, the Nokia Sugar Bowl, Florida State and Ohio State, all coming up. And then on February 1st, we'll be in Honolulu for the Pro Bowl to wrap up the season. Denver at the 48 of Jacksonville, and Derek LaVille is in the backfield. Elway slings one, caught by Sharp, and out of bounds at the 26-yard line. Oh, what a beautiful pass by John Elway. What a great touch. He had to throw over linebacker Kevin Hardy, getting the ball to Sharp in front of the defensive back, and he had the perfect touch. And again, great protection for John. Watch him break out. He picks up coverage underneath in the form of Kevin Hardy. You don't see him right there. He also had the strong safety coming over and Dave Thomas. A great touch by Elway. There it is. A good look. First down of the 25. LaVille is the tailback. Deshaun Smith is the fullback. Derek LaVille through the middle with a big hole. Inside the 15 and the 10. Touchdown Broncos. Well, the 2 previous drives, Denver didn't finish. They moved into Jacksonville territory. They made a mistake. This time, they finished big.
Terrell Davis, we're being told, is in the Denver locker room,
and in his absence, Derek LaVille gets it done. That Denver offensive line just firing off. And a good move by LaVelle there. And then a sprint to the outside, getting away from Dave Thomas. And Denver goes up by more. Elam for the point after.
That was just another excellent example of tremendous work up front by the Broncos. And Pat Bowlen, the owner of the franchise, couldn't be happier.
Denver by 11.
This new tax law is going to affect every aspect of
The aerial photography being provided by Goodyear. Great shot right there, Mile High Stadium, downtown in the background. And the Denver Broncos trying to advance in the AFC playoffs, now up by 11 as Elam kicks off. Some confusion as to who is going to haul it in, and Mike Logan takes it and brings it back to the 20-yard line. Meanwhile, Terrell Davis in the locker room, they're telling us bruised ribs. He had that long run. Here was the end of that long run. Then he did come back in for one play. After that, the fumble.
He lands right on the football. Looked like he landed with the football. He just came down directly on top of it.
And that happens more frequently than you might think for running backs. And his return is questionable. He did come back in, though, as you say, Al, and felt that he was available to keep going. In the meantime, Lavelle runs for the touchdown. From the 20-yard line, first down for the Jaguars. Natron Means nowhere. Keith Traylor to first to hit him, and John Mobley second for Greg Robinson's defense. Well, this is where the Denver defense would like to step up. They have their ace running back in the locker room, off the field, and they need some defensive play. Second and 10 from the Jaguar 20. Blitz. 7 men come, and the catch is made by McCardell at the 29-yard line. And I think they're going to give him forward progress across the 30 and a first down. Good pickup on the blitz. McCardell just driving Darian Gordon back. Gordon again playing way off and setting up in the perfect spot for the first down.
And at this stage of the ball game, down by 11, these are the weapons that Mark Brunell has got to start using. Jimmy Smith and Keenan McCardell. Good use of the hands.
And a great spot for Jacksonville. I'll tell you, about a yard. Yeah.
He never got beyond the 30.
And that's the difference between a 3rd and 1 and a first down.
Yeah.
Take the end around. Brunell is going to take off, then throw, and too high. Jimmy Smith working the sideline, 2nd and 10. Keith Traylor put the pressure on. This AFC Wildcard game is being brought to you by Ford Explorer because the world is too big to be left unexplored. Miller Lite, now official beer sponsor of the NFL. Circuit City, answers in every department, low prices all over the store. And Microsoft, where do you want to go today? One of these teams wants to go to Pittsburgh or Kansas City next week, and that's what they're playing for, advancement in the playoffs. That site to be determined after the Miami-New England game tomorrow. 2nd and 10. Brunell under pressure. Trevor Price got him, the rookie out of Clemson, who started his college career at Michigan, their #1 pick.
Darian Gordon, who has been a little erratic in the last few games for the Broncos, made a terrific play on Jimmy Smith. That is where Mark Brunell wanted to go. Smith with a little out looking for a first down, and Darian Gordon was right with him. Took Smith out of the play. Brunell had to run the ball.
3rd down 10. Earlier today, the Vikings overcame a 16-point Giant lead and won the game at the Meadowlands. Jacksonville in this one attempting to overcome a 21-point deficit at one point. And on 3rd down, the catch is made, and a flag is thrown. Romanowski popped Brunell, and that's going to cost Denver the opportunity to get the ball back, because the catch was made 6 yards shy of the first down.
Bill Romanowski comes right up the middle. I don't think he's even touched on his blitz.
Ball, number 53 on the defense, roughing the passer, blow to the head.
Grabbed him by the helmet more than a blow to the head as he goes by, but you can't do that. And Romanowski demonstrating for the official there was nothing wrong with that play.
It wasn't a blow to the head as much as it was Romanowski in the air when he came down with his hand on the back of the shoulder pad, but once he had him by the head, drove him down. You know, I've seen a lot of those that didn't get called.
Here's Means, and that was a huge call because otherwise it would have been 4th down and 6.
We've seen quarterbacks take bigger hits than that don't get called for roughing the quarterback. Granted, there was contact between Romanowski's hand and Brunell's helmet. You can't argue that. How much contact was there? Well, depending whether you're rooting for Denver or Jacksonville, you can argue that a lot.
Second down and 4. Short drop. Smith makes the catch. Forward progress at the 40. Good enough for a first down.
And each time the Broncos show blitz, Brunell either goes quickly on a checkoff to Jimmy Smith or he changes the play at the line of scrimmage when they work against Darian Gordon. Let's take a look at that Romanowski call again. Nobody touched him coming up. Gets the left hand on the helmet. Well, I don't know. We've seen a lot worse.
Boy. The hand came down as gently as it could on the back of Brunell's head. He just kind of threw him to the ground with it.
From the 39, Brunell going deep. Great coverage, though, and picked off in the end zone by Gordon.
Gordon has been the target for Jacksonville all day long. He's had some bad games recently, particularly going back to the Pittsburgh game when Yancey Thigpen ate him alive. They've gone to him many times on the blitz. Here today, they tried to go on a deep pattern, and Darian Gordon picks it off.
Blanketed McCardell, and Denver gets the ball back, leading by 11. Mile High Stadium in Denver at dusk. Broncos leading 28-17. First down from the 20-yard line, and Shannon Sharp was in motion again.
Shannon Sharp having a rough go of it here today, getting the snap count down.
Number 84 on the offense. That's a 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Third call against Sharp.
Started off the game with one, tossed one in the middle, and now comes up with another one in the fourth quarter. Skipped a quarter somewhere along the way.
First and 15 from the 15. Derek Lavelle. And Lavelle, number 3 on the depth chart, looks like an old pro. All the way to the 32-yard line.
Well, when you see it happen with Terrell Davis, and you see it happen with both Derek Lavelle, the one conclusion you can draw is that the Denver offensive line is kicking the you-know-what out of Jacksonville up front. They are manhandling the Jaguars.
And their defense, Jacksonville, is playing like the 24th defense against the run of the National Football League.
They are just getting blown out up front. This is as good a performance as I've seen in a while by an offensive line and the lead blockers for the Denver Broncos.
First and 10 at the 41. Lavelle again. So with Terrell Davis, bruised ribs back in the locker room. Vaughn Hebron, who had a hamstring pull in his practice this week, limited today to returning kicks. Derek Lavelle comes out of the bullpen, and in the meantime, Terrell Davis has emerged, and there he is, back on the bench.
Well, I think the Denver offense would like to look over and say, don't worry about it. We've got this under control.
For those of you at home keeping score, Tony Jones, Brian Habib, Tom Nalen, Mark Schlereth, and Gary Zimmerman, and lead blocker Howard Griffith or Detron Smith. They are getting it done, folks.
Second and 7. Now Hebron comes into the game as the tailback takes the handoff, and Hebron takes it to the 32, and that's close to a first down, a little bit short. Halfway through the fourth quarter.
Precious seconds ticking off for Jacksonville.
Third down and 1. Hebron, enough for the first down to the 31. And Elway now can be as masterful as You would expect somebody in his 15th year, who was a #1 draft choice to be, move the ball, chew up the clock, take the play clock down to 1 or 2 on every play.
And Dick Geron, the defensive coordinator of Jacksonville, has got to be running out of things to do. He's calling run blitzes. He's loading the line of scrimmage. He's walking up his safeties, and none of it is having much of an effect in stopping Denver's running game.
They're just being overpowered right at the line of scrimmage, Dan. You've touched on it, and it really is showing here in the fourth quarter.
270 yards on the ground, almost 7 yards a carry. Play clock went all the way down to 1, and Lavelle takes it to the 25 for a gain of 5. Davis looks at this. He wants back in there.
I'm trying to think of the last time I covered a football game where a team had 270 yards rushing.
And counting.
College.
276 now. I certainly can't recall it.
Oklahoma and Nebraska.
And to think that it's happening, seriously, Frank, and to think it's happening in a playoff game. These members of the Denver offense, if they go on and win this game, they'll remember this for the rest of their lives.
2nd and 4. Lavelle has 84 yards on the ground and 6 carries. Derrick again spins his way to the 20, and that's probably close enough to be measured.
And if he doesn't lose his footing, who knows where Lavelle ends up. Sure, he got knocked down by anyone in a Jacksonville uniform as much as he spun and just lost his footing.
We touched on it earlier about Derek Lavelle as we check out the measurement. Favorite of Mike Shanahan's when they were at San Francisco together.
You know, I just had one game come to mind. It was a Super Bowl we covered. A guy named Timmy Smith ran for over 200 yards, and it was against
the Denver Broncos on a day when Doug Williams went wild.
That's exactly right.
Williams was the MVP, and everybody forgets that Timmy Smith
at what, 206, 204?
I want to say 202, but we'll get it in a second. 204.
204.
Split the difference.
No, I said 204.
Oh, okay.
I said 206, 204.
Well, Frank didn't check that.
None of this splitting the difference.
3rd down and inches. Lavelle, and if he got to the 20-yard line, he's got it, and you can see where they're going to come in and mark it. That's going to be enough for a first down.
Inside the 20. The clock will continue to tick.
The game clock right now is frozen at 5:37. Kenny Wolf, our producer, is saying it should be about 4:57.
They'll keep the time on the field in that case.
Normally it works the other way. The home clock is running fast.
Maybe they tried to speed it up, Dan.
Maybe applied a little extra juice to it, and it popped the circuit. Now it's back clicking away at 4:27.
Okay.
Although the clock's not running, so
they'll reset it.
Right. Gives us a chance to tell you this wild card game is being brought to you by Ford Explorer, because the world is too big to be left unexplored. Miller Lite, now official beer sponsor of the NFL. Circuit City answers in every department. Low prices all over the store. And Microsoft, where do you want to go today? Tomorrow, Sunday, NFL Countdown on ESPN starts today. NFL Primetime ends the day. 2 playoff games tomorrow, of course, with Detroit meeting Tampa Bay and New England facing Miami. And again, if New England wins that game, they would go to Pittsburgh, and the winner of this game would go to Kansas City. If Miami wins that game, Miami goes to Kansas City, and the winner of this game would go to Pittsburgh.
I want to thank our offensive line down in the truck today. Kenny Wolf producing, Craig Janoff directing.
All pro.
All pros. All world. You guys have had 300 yards rushing today.
As always, from the 29-yard line. Derek Lavelle for a couple. Clock is now official again, 4:40 and counting down. Broncos led at one point 21-0. Appear to be on their way to a blowout. Jacksonville with 17 unanswered points. And we're driving for what might have been a go-ahead touchdown. Lost the football. And Denver has tacked on a touchdown to go up again by 11.
Elway having trouble hearing the play as is called in. He ran over to the sidelines. Mike Shanahan came out and waved to him.
Don't forget right there at that address, NFL.com. All the action around the National Football League available on your computer. Derek Lavelle takes it inside the 15 to the 14-yard line. These two teams last year, when you think of last year's game, there was not a single turnover. There wasn't a turnover in the first half today, but there were 3 in the third quarter alone, and Tom Coughlin has to stop the clock right here. And then his defense has to stop the Broncos on what will be a 3rd down and 4.
Jacksonville with 2 timeouts remaining now. Of course, Denver in a position for a Jason Elam field goal that would move them up to 31. 2-touchdown advantage over Jacksonville.
Well, our producer, as always, finishing his 12th year on this package, is the one and only Ken Wolf. The great Craig Janoff has been at the console now for the last 10 seasons, and Joey Chavo has been there since day 1 of the package. As our technical director, Big Ben Harvey, our associate producer, Jaime Bravo, our associate director, and this gang, we travel around beginning at the end of July in Canton, Ohio, and wrapping up here and in Hawaii. Chris Pfeiffer and Bill Boland, the assistants to the producer. Steve Hurd, our director of information. Kim Bauer up in the booth with George Hill handling our stats, and Malibu Kelly Hayes, our spotter. 3rd down and 4 from the 14. A flag is thrown, and as Lavelle
looked like Jacksonville, and that would be a 1st down.
Lavelle either way. Short. Chris Hudson came across the line.
That would give Denver a 1st down if it is indeed on Jacksonville. He was well across the ball.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a killer. That's a killer. They had just taken a timeout. And there's our gang. Malibu, Kelly Hayes, as always. Our sideline coordinators are John Bassoni and Bill Monahan, and all of the gang in the booth, in the truck, on the field. Great work, folks. All season.
Drew's been here for about 25 years.
At least.
At least. Drew goes back to black and white.
Goes back to radio.
Marconi. Macaroni.
1st down Denver from the 9-yard line as Lavelle takes it into the end zone.
What an exclamation point on Denver's running game today. Well, great job by Lavelle, but that offensive line, that's awesome. Makes it a pleasure to run behind. I know folks in Jacksonville are saying, why did it have to happen to us? But this is as punishing a running game as the NFL has seen in a single game in a long time. This was something. As an offensive lineman, I got to tell you something. It's fun to watch. And again, we don't mean that as a slight to Jacksonville, but we just saw something a little bit historic.
Well, historic is Lavelle with 103 yards. Davis had already picked up 184, and the Broncos on the ground 295 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns.
And the only reason they didn't go over 300 is at the goal line caught Derek Lavelle. Well, this was the 24th defense of the league coming in against the run, Jacksonville. They lost key members of this team to injuries. John Yurkovic, who started a tackle a year ago. Don Davey started, a veteran defensive tackle a year ago. They were injured out of it. Kelvin Pritchard, they lost him, and they were going with a lot of kids today, and they just got blown away.
Rushing yards in the game go all the way back to the Bears against the Redskins, 382 in 1940.
Most recent was the Buffalo against Miami game back in 95. But you make a good point, Frank. A lot of youth in the middle of the Jacksonville defense for most of the season. A couple of rookies with Payne and Wynn and Schwartz at middle linebacker, just a third-year guy. But again, a guy coming back from surgery. But still,
everybody, I'm sure, expected them to be a little more stout against the run than what we saw today.
And maybe Denver playing back to where they began this season. They were shaky through the last 4 games of their schedule.
I think Denver played with a little passion today. What do you think?
Maybe that's what they needed.
It's been this has been welling up for 51 weeks.
But I'll tell you, though, there was about a 15-minute period when it was about as scary as it's ever gotten around here. Because if they would have blown this game after leading 21-0, I mean, you think last year was tough.
Yes.
Whew. They would have been headed to the couch.
And it was looking that way for a while.
Little $200 an hour analysis.
That may have been $1,000 an hour. Bouncing ball by Elam, and it's taken by Ty Halleck, and he's out of bounds at the 36-yard line. Continue on our gang as we travel around the country with a group of about 70.
Lance Knapp, who's up in the booth with us here, along with Barry, the gang.
Fascinating how they all come together. Kurt Gowdy is producing in New York, our halftime. And how they all come together week after week from all different parts of the country. And the incredible caring that each and every one of them have about what we put on the air. We're just proud to be a part of it.
Jacksonville trailing by 18 as that's tipped and incomplete. Tipped by Darian Gordon coming on a corner blitz. Gordon who made that big interception.
And remember, he tipped one on a corner blitz earlier in the ballgame.
He's having a heck of a year. 4 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown. 3 punt returns for a touchdown. 1 interception, like I said, for a TD. And he wasn't the guy that was expected to start at the corner. That only happened when Torrey James went down in preseason, and he has really stepped up.
Now Denver turns their attention to going to either Pittsburgh or Kansas City, 2 places where they've already lost this year.
Second down and 10. Brunell hits McCardell up to the 42-yard line.
And against 2 teams, Dan, where they had leads that they lost.
Of course, Kansas City, their rival in the AFC West, a great familiarity between the Broncos and the Chiefs. And what a year Kansas City has had, earning themselves the home field all the way through the AFC.
And it's 4th down intended for Mitchell. And the Jaguars will have to go for it.
So you have to give this Jacksonville team a lot of credit here in the 3rd year, 11-5, and an improving team. Injuries hurt them this year, particularly on defense. We already delineated that. They have really done a terrific job.
4th and 5 with 3:03 to go.
Oh, make it 4th and 10.
8. Well, let's see, it would have been 4th and 6 to begin with. 4th and 11 coming up.
Number 87 on the offense, moving prior to the ball being snapped. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
When Denver goes to either Kansas City or Pittsburgh, how about the playoff experience at the quarterback position? You're going to have John Elway making his 16th playoff start against either Cordell Stewart or Elvis Gerbeck, 2 guys that don't have a lot of experience in the playoffs.
And that's the exclamation point provided by Gordon.
Brunell knew he had no shot. Caught from the corner of the eye, Darian Gordon coming on the blitz, he knew he couldn't get away. Gordon having a heck of a day, and he was the target for Jacksonville coming in.
Oh, there goes the flag over on the other side of the field is Neil Smith, and
got into it with Dave Weidel.
Throwing it away.
Got into it with Dave Weidel, a former Bronco.
He wasn't Smith's former teammate.
No, he was not. He was gone before Neil got here. Neil giving the age-old pointing to the scoreboard, and that is the one thing a guy can do that it's tough to argue in this situation.
And it's never forgotten.
No, but let's try to be a gracious winner.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 87 on the defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
You don't get many wide receivers that get called for unnecessary roughness.
Keenan Cardell.
He's still exercised. I think you better be careful. He'll be getting the wallet out big time.
Well, Jacksonville isn't going anywhere as far as regressing as a franchise. This game goes out the window. They have shown with their steady progression, they're going to be good for a long time.
1st and 10 in Hebron, and now they have picked up their 300 yards as a team. And it's funny how it's worked out for the expansion teams, because Carolina went for the veterans early, and they were better early.
Yep.
They both got to their respective championship games last year, but they intersected along the way. And while Jacksonville is going up, the Panthers are now on the slide.
They took a big step backwards this year. They lost their general manager, Bill Polian, went to Indianapolis. And Jacksonville is just going to get better. And listen to the hand for John Elway.
He comes out. Mike Shanahan wanted him to come out to let him get the big hand. At the 10-yard line, into the game comes Bubby Brister. And Pat Boland's down on the field. And Pat, who's watched this team for years and years, as the owner of the team, get to those 3 Super Bowls and come up short. Thinking right now, 2 more, and we're back again. 2 minutes, the crowd chanting Elway, Elway. It's been John's day and Denver.
Computers, they're like
2 minutes to go. And we wind down in Denver, where the Denver Broncos have picked up 301 yards on the ground today.
Interesting point Dan just brought up. If the Broncos have 301 yards rushing, which is really remarkable, if they decide to kneel down, run this clock out, they could fall back behind that.
Bubby Brister keeping it going forward. And this is Hebron, and he is stopped at the 6-yard line, a little short of the first down. 4th down upcoming. With Lavelle and Davis each rushing for over 100 yards. The last time that happened in a postseason game was 1976. Minnesota Vikings, Chuck Foreman and Brent McClanahan.
Ooh, baby.
Each into triple figures.
I might have guessed on a few running back combinations before I stumbled over those 2.
Well, I'll tell you what, 21 years from now, you might have guessed on a few before you get Terrell Davis and Derek Lavelle.
I might have gone Salka and Mercury Morris or somebody like that, but McClanahan and Foreman.
Yep. 4th and 1. Hebron into the end zone.
Sit too well in Jacksonville, but you know what? You got to let your players play.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling if it was like 2nd down and out of timeouts, that was a 4th down play, so you give it back.
Yep. You know, you got to keep playing.
Yep.
Cap quite a day for Hebron, who again was questionable all week with a hamstring, didn't work out. They actually worked him out before the game here today.
Elam for the point after. That's 5 rushing touchdowns today. And they've spread it around. Davis with 2, Lavelle with 2, Hebron with 1.
You know, going into this game, I was thinking that the Broncos might have done too much talking, that they might have put too much emphasis on this ball game. And again, look at those rushing totals. 310 yards for the Denver Broncos, 42-17. Just everything that everybody in the state of Colorado dreamed about happening when the Jaguars. But to get back to I thought that they might have put so much pressure on themselves by focusing so much on this game.
Yeah. I think that's young John Elway. He's 8 years old. quite a kid. Plays quarterback in Little League here in Denver. And
talk about pressure. Talk about pressure.
Jason Ewan back for Jacksonville.
The Elway family has handled it very well.
Now a quarterback for the Pee Wee team, number 7, John Elway Jr.
This is Mike Logan. He's looking to get rid of the football.
Nobody wants it.
You know, Mike, you ought to think about running with it.
Well, then he goes to Damon Jones, the tight end.
That worked out well. Whatever happened to being in the open and taking off with the football? Young Mr. Elway out to get the...
Did you see that? He gave the mile-high salute.
His name is Jack. That's Jack Elway.
Named for John's father, Jack.
Grandpa.
Great football coach for many years.
How did he get that job? He must know somebody.
Had his own personal dresser. That's not bad. Cody doesn't do that well.
Grandpa Jack is now the director of pro scouting for the Broncos, so it's a real family affair. Director of pro scouting, the quarterback, and the, what do you call him, the T-boy? That's incomplete. Among the duties of the young Elway boy is to go out and retrieve the kicking tee.
Hey, think he just gets in here for nothing?
Yeah.
It's got to work.
Got to work, absolutely.
And we've gone off so much on Terrell Davis in the running game. We can also tell you that John Elway, not bad. 16 of 24, 223 yards and a touchdown. This game won't be the same someday without him.
Oh.
2nd and 10.
Don't even talk about it.
Caught by McCardell, steps out of bounds.
There are rare players that impact on this game that we all love so well, like John Elway.
Think about it.
Well, I'll be in Canton when he goes in. I won't miss that. Hopefully, we'll be doing the game.
Yeah, he'll be there.
That's right.
3rd down.
Where's the question mark?
And 2. And James Stewart picks up the first down. It's a strange game, though, because about an hour and 15 minutes ago, Elway was hurt. They were attending to him on the field. He had fumbled the ball. A 21-0 lead had become 21-17. He was being worked on the bench. Jacksonville was driving the other way.
Right. And now you look at this final score, Al, and you think, whoa, what would have happened if Denver wouldn't have turned it over twice deep in Jacksonville territory?
And number 30 would not be on the bench if those ribs were ailing too much. I think he will be 100% for his travels next week.
Maybe if there was a very key play in this game, it would be the Wydell snap to Brunell, which summarily ended that drive on which Jacksonville could have taken the lead.
Yeah, you're right, Al. Or else, if it wasn't that, it was the first time that they handed it to Terrell Davis.
Yes, which was the first play of the game.
And the irony of that, Wydell being a former Bronco.
Stewart drops it.
Yeah, you make a good point about that, Al, because they'd benefited from Denver's mistake. They'd marched all the way down into Denver's territory, and it really had a lot of offensive momentum at the time.
And Elway's being looked at on the bench. And God knows what happens if you ever squander a 21-0 lead at home.
Well, especially when home is Mile High Stadium.
Yes.
That would take a lot of couches, wouldn't it?
I'm not sure the Denver writers or radio shows would ever get over it. That would be tough.
Barely got over last year. Again, the winner of this game, the Denver Broncos, will wait. If Miami wins tomorrow, Denver goes to Pittsburgh. If New England wins tomorrow, then Denver matches up against Kansas City, a team they knocked off as Mike Shanahan accepts. Congratulations. On 3rd down and 10.
You know, interestingly, when we asked Mike Shanahan yesterday about, do you have a sense of whether John Elway's coming back next year, Mike said, not only next year, I would suspect that John will play into the foreseeable future. for several years. And you'd want to see some erosion of skill before you want to talk about a guy retiring, and I've not seen that erosion yet.
And this is a very quarterback-friendly offense that Mike Shanahan has brought to Denver.
Hey, John can play till he's 50 if they keep rushing for 300 yards.
Burnell hits McCardell. Taken down at the 31-yard line. In the waning seconds of the game, if Denver goes to Kansas City, they already beat them here on opening day, lost to them on the Stoyanovich field goal in the other regular season game at the end, and Stewart makes the catch, barring a penalty. This will do it, and the game ends at the 5-yard line. The Jaguars threw a scare into them, a big scare at one point. But the Broncos, strong at the start, strong at the finish. And on they go in the AFC playoffs. The final score from Mile High Stadium, the Denver Broncos 42 and the Jacksonville Jaguars 17. Back in a minute.